Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 1 of our story. If you like this What If story and want to see part 2, let me know in the comments below. Before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also, check the description for more great content and my playlist. This story was posted by 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 on Wattpad. Now let's start. Izuku POV. All men are not created equal. That's the hard truth I learned at the age of this society is a society that relies on what is known as quirks. It all started many years ago in a hospital in China, when a baby started to glow and soon after, other people's powers started to show. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 fantasy became a reality, and the surreal became your everyday life. These special powers were named quirks and labeled as an unnatural phenomenon in Earth history, but nobody cared. It would seem this is a comic book geek's wet dream, but with every dream must also come a nightmare. People started using their quirks for horrible reasons, and as such they became the criminals and villains of society. Thanks to these villains, the government had to combat this spike in criminal activities. As a result, heroes were created. Many became heroes to save the lives of innocents and protect those who could not protect themselves, and so the hero society was created as a deterrent for world peace. However, that was years ago and the standard for hero has dropped in society, but I'll get to that later. This society is ruled by those who have strong quirks, and as such, only those who have strong quirks are the only ones who become heroes, and so many who try to become heroes and don't have a strong quirk are constantly ridiculed by others, and it's even worse for those who are quirkless. Today, as of many years ago since quirks have appeared, over 80% of society today have quirks while the rest of the 20% are members of the older generation. Today's the day I just had my first setback in this society when I went to the doctor to see about my quirk, but things didn't go as expected. Let me show you what I'm talking about. RD person POV. Izuku, come on mom, I want to find out what my quirk is. Izuku said very excitedly. Izuku was dragging his mother through the hospital wanting to find out so much what his quirk is that he's basically vibrating with excitement to find out what cool quirk he will receive so he could use it to become a hero. Ever since Izuku found out about heroes, he's wanted to become one to help others. Izuku has always wanted to help other people since he could remember. He would always try helping out by doing everyday stuff like helping old people cross the street or saving cats from trees, and so he believed becoming a hero would be the best way to help others. He would always watch hero videos on the internet and be captivated by these heroes. None more than All Might, his favorite hero. Izuku would watch his Japan debut video 1,000 times a day and see how cool All Might is. That video would be his one reason to drive himself to become a hero with a smile on his face and fearlessness in his eyes. This is who Izuku is. He's always wanted to help others and become a part of hero society. Little did Izuku know is that the hero society isn't how he expected it to be. The hero society has been ruled by those with strong quirks and discriminate against those with weaker quirks, and doesn't allow those with weak quirks to become heroes that easily. He has a long road until he becomes a hero, but he will worry about that later. 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. Okay Izuku, the doctor is not going anywhere. He will be there to tell you what your quirk is so you can become a hero. His mom said very calmly while wearing a small grin on her face, seeing how excited her little Izuku is. Izuku Midoriya is a single mother who works as a nurse in this same hospital that they are currently in. Her husband died in a car accident when Izuku has still a little baby. 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 has been working hard for years since Izuku was born to try and cope with being a single mother. She loves Izuku so much and would die for her son just so he wouldn't feel 1 ounce of sadness. Before her husband's departure, 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 was a worrisome woman who would cry for the most ridiculous reasons, but after his death 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 swore that she would never cry again no matter how sad she was unless it was a happy occasion. This resulted in her becoming a strong and independent woman who doesn't take bullshit from anyone and would beat down anyone who tries to hurt her or her Izuku. She has truly come far since her husband died and will keep going for her son's sake to make him happy. Time skip. The doctor came into the room and placed an X-ray of Izuku's foot on the screen. Doctor, I'm sorry to say this 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, but Izuku cannot become a hero. The doctor says bluntly without restraint. That is when Izuku's world came crashing down on him. He wanted to become a hero so badly and save people's lives, But after hearing the doctor's words, he didn't 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 what to do. He just sat there shocked beyond all belief. 𝐻𝐮𝐭, Dr. 𝐒𝐮𝐭, are you sure you didn't make a mistake in finding out if Izuku has a quirk? It could be just a fluke. 𝐻𝐮𝐭 says calmly, but if you listen closely you could hear concern and worry in her voice. Dr. 𝐒𝐮𝐭 turns to the screen and turns it on so they could see the X-ray. Dr. 𝐒𝐮𝐭, as you could see 𝐻𝐮𝐭, your son has 2 joints in his pinky toe. Ever since quirks showed up in our society, one thing stood out between quirkless and people with quirks, and that's the joints in their pinky toe. People who have quirks only have 1 joint in their pinky toe while anyone else has 2 joints. So I'm sorry to say 𝐻𝐮𝐭, but your son can't have a quirk. The doctor explained. Dr. 𝐒𝐮𝐭, by any chance can you tell me what your late husband's quirk was? I know you can pull small objects towards yourself, but not your husband's. The doctor says, a little intrigued by this little scenario. 𝐻𝐮𝐭 starts levitating the all-might toy that Izuku dropped towards her and tell the doctor what her husband's quirk is. 𝐻𝐮𝐭, well, my late husband's quirk was that he could breathe fire. He wanted to become a hero, but he dropped out of Hero Academy because his quirk wasn't exactly all that good for saving people. Well, that's according to the school curriculum. 𝐻𝐮𝐭 says with a little mirth in her voice when she talked about the Hero Academy. Before she met her husband, 𝐬𝐻𝐼 Midoriya wanted to become a hero as well to help others and protect society, but the Hero Academy that he was going to dropped him because his quirk wasn't fit for becoming a hero. He could only breathe fire for less than 10 seconds and he would burn his throat if he overused it. Because of this, the Academy gave up on him completely and gave the spot to some other up-and-coming hero who didn't even need to take the entrance exam. They just let the kid take 𝐬𝐻𝐼's spot because the kid had a flashier quirk than 𝐬𝐻𝐼 did. After that day, 𝐬𝐻𝐼 just gave up on becoming a hero and decided to become a scientist. He studied biology and what made a quirk so special. He wanted to become a hero so badly that he tried creating a sort of super soldier serum that he planned on testing it on soldiers to see if it was possible to give humans supernatural abilities. However, the government shut it down completely because it was too dangerous to test on human subjects. 𝐬𝐻𝐼 was so desperate that he tested the serum on himself to see if he could get stronger or some stronger ability to help him become a hero. That he tested it on himself. The results? Nothing. It didn't work. It was a complete failure. 𝐬𝐻𝐼 was depressed and wanted to find a way to get stronger, but it was to no avail. A little time later, and that was when he met 𝐻𝐮𝐭, they decided to settle down and get married and have a family together. 𝐬𝐻𝐼 was finally happy. 1 year after his marriage, he and 𝐻𝐮𝐭 had a baby and decided to settle down in a nice apartment, and things were looking up for 𝐬𝐻𝐼. That was until one day he was watching Izuku and something didn't seem right. 𝐬𝐻𝐼 watched his son play with his toys, but deep down, 𝐬𝐻𝐼 knew something was wrong with his son, but didn't know what. So in the middle of the night, 𝐬𝐻𝐼 took a blood sample of Izuku and went to his office to see what was the matter, and what he saw next frightened him. Izuku's blood cells were corrupted by some green substance that was changing Izuku very slowly. In a couple of years, Izuku's entire DNA will change completely into something else. 𝐬𝐻𝐼 didn't understand what was going on. How did this happen? Then it hit him like a ton of bricks. The experiment he did on himself turned Izuku what he is today. Whatever he injected into himself, he passed on to Izuku the day he was born. 𝐬𝐻𝐼 felt guilt in him and tried to calm himself because he knew if he didn't find a cure soon, then Izuku could possibly be turned into a monster. That day 𝐬𝐻𝐼 spent hours and hours on end for weeks trying to find a way to cure Izuku with no luck. Every time he would get close to finding a cure, Izuku's DNA would mutate some more and get stronger. It was almost as if Izuku's DNA is getting stronger the more Izuku gets older. This just fueled 𝐬𝐻𝐼 to find a cure faster, but unfortunately life has a way to throw a wrench into your plans. One night while 𝐬𝐻𝐼 was coming home from his office, a bus came out of nowhere and hit him. There was a villain attack and the bus driver was trying to get away from the fighting, and it hit 𝐬𝐻𝐼's car. He died on impact, never being able to cure his son, and thus the end of 𝐬𝐻𝐼 Midoriya. Leaving his sick son and now widowed wife alone in this cruel world, knowing he just unleashed a beast into this world that cannot be tamed. Ironically, this was the day that All Might made his debut in Japan and was the same video that Izuku would see every time to inspire himself to become a hero with a smile on his face and fearlessness in his eyes. Time skip. It has been a couple of hours since Izuku found out that he was quirkless. Izuku is seen watching the All Might video in the dark while his mother opens the door to see what her son is up to. 𝐻𝐿𝐿, sweet, are you okay? Do you want some dinner? 𝐻𝐿𝐿 says with some concern. Izuku just keeps watching the video, then finally turns around with a forced smile on his face and tears in his eyes. Izuku, Mom, can I be a hero too? Izuku says, barely keeping himself from crying. 𝐻𝐿𝐿 saw this and her heart was breaking. She swore that she would make sure that her son would never feel an ounce of sadness, and she failed at the one promise she made to herself. She walked over to her son and kneeled in front of him. In the past, when she was still the worrisome woman, she would have wrapped Izuku up in her arms and started saying, "I'm sorry," over and over again while crying, but this is not the same 𝐻𝐿𝐿 from the past. This was a strong mother who believes in her son no matter what and will encourage him no matter what kind of dream her son has. As long as he is happy, she is happy. 𝐻𝐿𝐿, Izuku, I'm not going to lie to you. In this society, a strong quirk makes a better hero. In this society, the quirk you have will determine if you will become someone and triumph over others, or become stepped on by others and crushed by this society altogether. She explains with an emotionless look on her face. Izuku looked disheartened and tears started falling down his cheeks, until what he heard next. 𝐻𝐿𝐿, but people who think that way are trash. She says with a determined look on her face and fire in her eyes. 𝐻𝐿𝐿, people of today's hero society have lost their views on what a true hero really is, and people have lost their views on what makes us all human. In this society, everyone believes the quirk is what makes a person a hero. The second someone shows what quirk they have, and if it's strong, then they will become a great hero, but that's not what makes a hero a hero. A hero is someone who jumps in and saves people despite the consequences and shows no fear. A hero is someone who goes out of their way to help someone who can't help themselves and expect nothing in return. It's understandable why people become heroes for the money. You can't save lives on an empty stomach, and people who help others selflessly should be rewarded. So I don't blame people who become heroes for money or the fame. As long as they help others, it's fine by me. However, you should never let this consume you. If you become a hero just for the fame and fortune, you will eventually forget the real reasons why heroes become heroes. 𝐻𝐿𝐿 explained while drying Izuku's tears with her sleeve. Izuku looked into his mother's eyes and saw nothing but resolve in her eyes. A look he's never seen on his mother's face before. 𝐻𝐿𝐿, Izuku, you want to know if you can become a hero? Then I say DMN right, you can. You don't need a flashy quirk to become a true hero. All you need is the heart to help other and the drive to keep moving forward. A hero is someone who looks into the face of anguish and spits in its face and perseveres through the hardships of this world. A hero is someone who overcomes the obstacles that come their way. They are people who are symbols of peace and hope for a better future. I believe you can become this symbol and show the world you are a real hero, because in my eyes you are already a hero. When Izuku heard this, instead of crying tears of sadness, he cried tears of joy. This is what Izuku needed to hear to drive himself into becoming a true hero, and he will remember this day until his final breath. He now knew that his mother will always support him in any problem, and she will always be there to help him up whenever he falls. As long as she is with him, he can overcome anything that comes his way. However, just like his father before him, life has a way of throwing a wrench into your plans when you least expect it. Time skip 2 years. Izuku POV. It's been 2 years since I found out I was quirkless. Things went downhill very fast when the kids at school found out I was quirkless. It made me a target for bullying and beating from other kids, especially my best friend 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. 𝐀𝐮 was the one to tell the other kids that I was quirkless and started calling me useless. He even gave me a nickname, Deku, which means useless. He has constantly bullied me for these past 2 years, and I eventually had enough, so I stopped being friends with him and started calling him 𝐵𝐿𝐿𝐿 instead of my nickname for him, 𝐀𝐮. After the beatings, I would run home and my mom would see me covered in scrapes and bruises with the occasional black eye. She didn't need to be a genius to see that he was being bullied and being neglected by the teachers, who were obviously prejudiced towards quirkless people. No matter how many times she complained to the school, they would brush it off as saying they are just kids playing a little rough. As a result, my mother put me into self-defense classes so I could defend myself from the bullies. However, this didn't end so well. One day I was at school and I saw Bakugo and his two lackeys beating on some poor kid. So I jumped in there and protected the kid from the bullying. Narrator's POV. Izuku, Bakugo, stop beating him up, you're hurting him. Izuku says with his eyes filled with anger, Bakugo? Or what, Deku? You can't do anything, you're just a quirkless weakling, so what can you do to stop me? Bakugo says while punching his fist into his palm, creating a small explosion while his lackeys laugh at Izuku. Izuku takes up a defensive stance and shows that he's not going to back down from this fight. When Bakugo sees this, he gets enraged and charges at Izuku with his lackeys behind him trying to attack Izuku. The first to come at him was Bakugo with a right hook trying to use his quirk against him. It was too easy for Izuku to try and counter. Izuku grabs Bakugo's wrist and shoulder, throws Bakugo over him and onto the ground hard. Bakugo didn't expect this, and so he was knocked out upon impact. The next kid to come at him was the one with long fingers. He tried to wrap Izuku with his fingers, but Izuku ducks under the fingers and kicks the kid's legs from under him and then goes to punch the kid in the face and knock him out as well. The last kid was flying above them and tried to tackle Izuku, but Izuku rolled out of the way every time the kid tried to hit Izuku. The kid got enraged and just went full speed at Izuku one final time as fast as he could to try and hit Izuku, but that's exactly what Izuku wanted. When the kid flew to Izuku, he didn't expect Izuku to jump over him, and then the kid crashed into the tree and left an indent in the trunk. Izuku was a little winded from moving around, but he caught his breath and looked around at the damage. He saw that he did well and gave himself a mental pat on the back and thought he did a good job. However, his celebrating was short-lived when he heard the teacher yelling at them. "Teacher, what are you kids doing?" he yelled as he ran to the playground. When the teacher got there, he saw Bakugo and his lackeys lying on the ground with bruises and scratches. When the teacher saw this, he was furious with Izuku. However, he also felt a little glee because he was one of the teachers who were prejudiced toward quirkless people and loved to make their lives hells for the fun of it just because he can. He saw this as an opportunity to get Izuku expelled and make him leave the school. The teacher went to Izuku and started dragging him to the principal's office while the other teacher picked up the kids and put them in the nurse's office. Time skip. Izuku was sitting in the principal's office along with his mother, who was looking a little worried. They were sitting across from the principal's desk and the teacher from earlier standing to the side smiling smugly at Izuku's expense. "Principal, Mr. Midoriya, I'm sure you understand why you are here. You started a fight and beat up a bunch of kids for no reason and put them in the nurse's office," she said, not knowing the real truth since the teacher told her some bullshit lie. The principal was one of the only people who didn't care if Izuku was quirkless. All she cared about was if the students were safe and learning. So she had no ill intent towards Izuku and was strict, but fair to all students. "Izuku, no. The reason why I was in a fight with them was because they were bullying another kid, so I stepped in and tried to stop them, but Bakugo got angry and tried to attack me with his quirk along with his friends. He defended himself." "Teacher, that's a lie." The kids said that he was the one that started the fight because he wanted revenge for all the kids picking on him for being quirk. He stopped himself after seeing the principal's glaring look. The principal had suspicions about some of her teachers being prejudiced towards Izuku, but didn't have any evidence to commit them, and all the children didn't care and would just call Izuku a worthless Deku. "Principal, let the boy defend himself," she said with a stern look towards her teacher. The teacher backed down and allowed Izuku to continue. "Principal, so tell me, Izuku, do you have any evidence to support your claim?" she asks with a neutral look towards Izuku. Izuku, "Yes, the kid that was being bullied, he saw the whole thing, just ask him and he'll tell you," he said. The principal called the boy who was being bullied into the office. "Principal, Mr. Matsuda, it's come to my attention that you were being bullied and young Izuku here was the one who saved you from the bullies. Can you confirm this for us?" she said while gesturing to Izuku. The kid looked nervous and kept looking between the principal and Izuku. Before this happened, the teacher came to him and told him to not say anything about him being bullied or else he will be in big trouble. He didn't know why, but he didn't want to get in trouble with the teachers or else his parents will spank him for being a bad kid. "Matsuda, I have no idea what you are talking about," he told the principal. Izuku looked distraught after hearing this. "Izuku, what are you talking about? It just happened an hour ago, how could you not remember me saving you?" Izuku said very frantically. "Matsuda, I'm sorry, but I don't know what you are talking about, he said, looking down at the floor, not making eye contact with anyone, especially the teacher. Principal, well, since you don't have any evidence that supports your claim, Mr. Midoriya, I'm afraid that I'm going to have to suspend you, she says while looking a little sorry towards Izuku. Izuku got angry. No one noticed that his eyes, they were turning bright green as if they are glowing, and was about to start shouting, but his mother beat him to it. Inko, what do you mean you're suspending him? It's obvious that Izuku is the victim and just defended himself from bullies. She yells furiously, Principal, I'm sorry, Mrs. Midoriya, my hands are tied and I can't let Izuku go unpunished, otherwise it would make the school look bad in front of the school district board, she says, trying to calm down Inko. Inko, bullshit, you're trying to save your own skin. You don't even bother trying to investigate just because my Izuku is quirkless. She growls angrily, Principal, I'm sorry, Mrs. Midoriya, but I can't do anything else, so can you please leave? She says, trying to get Inko and Izuku to leave. Both Inko and Izuku were angry as they stormed out the school, not missing the smirk on the teacher's face, and into the car. Inko was driving angrily, mumbling about how the school is unfair and biased to quirkless people. Inko, that DMN school, so much for No Child Left Behind. They are completely biased and unreliable, she mumbles. Izuku calmed down a little and started to realize that they are driving way too fast, and so he tried to calm his mother. Izuku, Mom, please slow down, we are going too fast, he says, a little scared and grabbing onto his chair a little hard. Inko, what was that? Izuku, I couldn't hear you, she says, taking her eyes off the road and looked at Izuku for 1 second. That 1 second was all that was needed for Inko to be distracted and not pay attention to a villain attack that was happening down a different road. The villain used her quirk to lift a semi-truck and toss it towards a hero who dodged, and the truck hit the car Inko and Izuku were in. The crash happened in a flash, and Izuku and Inko went tumbling across the street and finally came to a stop when they hit a wall. Izuku woke up with blood falling from his forehead and his lip while he was upside down in his seat. He looked over to his mother and saw that she was in the same position. Izuku tried to take the seat belt off himself, but it wouldn't come off. He started yelling for help, but none came. He looked at the heroes and saw they were more focused on the villain than saving him and his mother. He saw that the car was catching on fire, and he looked around and saw some people at the side. He started crying for them to help him and his mother, but none of them came to help. They just stood there waiting for a hero to come along and help them instead. Izuku started getting angry again, but he focused on getting himself and his mother to safety. Izuku was finally getting loose and got out of his seat and opened the door. He ran to the heroes and tried to ask them to help his mother, but all they did was tell him to get away and let the heroes do their job. Izuku kept getting more angry and ran back to the car and tried to tell the people to help him, but they kept saying the same thing. Let the heroes do the job, they can save that kid's mom. Izuku just kept getting angry. The heroes were too busy with the villain, and the people wanted to rely on the heroes too much instead of doing what any human being would have done and helped out. Izuku just went over to the car again and saw that it was close to exploding. So Izuku went to the door on his mother's side and pulled the door off, not knowing where he got his strength from, and also not noticing that his eyes were bright green and his muscles were bulging a little. Izuku threw the car door away and tore the seat belt off the seat to release his mother and dragged her with all his strength away from the burning car. Just in time for the car to explode and the heroes to take down the villain. Izuku was too busy trying to wake his mother, and the people at the side were cheering for the heroes and forgot about Izuku. Sometime later an ambulance came and took Izuku and his mother to the hospital. Izuku was patched up and wanted to know where his mother is. That's when the same doctor that gave him his quirk analysis came in. Dr. Ejiko. Izuku, how are you feeling, young man? He says, trying to make sure Izuku stays calm for the unfortunate news that he will give Izuku. Izuku, I'm fine, doctor, but is my mommy all right? He looked at the doctor with some tears and worry in his eyes. The doctor looked at Izuku's eyes and couldn't bear telling the boy, but he had no choice. Dr. Ejiko, I'm sorry to say this, Izuku, but your mother was placed into a coma, he says with some regret in his voice. Izuku didn't wait for the doctor to continue, and he ran out the door and into the room he knew his mother was in. When he got there, he saw his mother hooked up to a machine and a heart monitor. He went to the bed and started shaking his mother. Izuku, crying, "Mom, Mom, please wake up. Please. I don't know what to do. Please wake up." He started crying a waterfall and tried to wake his mother up. The doctor came in and pulled Izuku from his mother and tried to stop him. Izuku kept struggling out of the doctor's grip, but eventually he stopped. "Izuku, I'm sorry, Mom, I'm so sorry. This is my fault. I shouldn't have got in trouble, then things would have been different." That's when Izuku thought about the smirk on the teacher's face, the kid he saved from Bakugo and the bullies, Bakugo and his lackeys, the heroes fighting the villain, and finally the people who wouldn't help him. Thinking about all this, Izuku's eyes started turning green again and Biss muscles started bulging. He pushed the doctor away and ran out, not noticing that he is running faster than an Olympic gold medalist track runner. He eventually made it to an abandoned factory and ran inside. He started thinking of all the things that happened in his life, from finding out he was quirkless all the way to today. All the bullying, the discrimination, the torture of all the children and teachers, along with the negligence of the heroes and the people who just stood by and watched it happen. It all came crashing down on Izuku, and he let his anger go for the first time ever. Not realizing that he's just unleashed a beast that's been growing inside him for years since his Arch. Midnight to 2:10 after Izuku's rampage, he looked outside and saw there were police and pro-heroes outside the factory investigating all the noise and complaints. When he saw them, he got more angry because he wanted to be alone. 1:13 to 5:55. Imagine all the soldiers are policemen and Blonsky is a random overconfident hero, and there is nobody. The random hero was killed on impact, and all the police that were still alive fell back to safety. Things were looking grim for the police that lived, and other pro-heroes were too scared to attack such a beast. That was until they heard a loud thud and turned to see the number one hero, All Might. "All Might, never fear because I am here," he boomed with his voice. The pros were relieved to see the number one hero here to save the day. "If anyone can fight this monster, it's All Might. All Might, can anyone tell me what the situation is?" he asked a random hero. "Random hero, it's great to see you here, All Might. We are getting our butts handed to us by that big green creature," he exclaims and points at the creature. All Might looks at the creature and is a little startled and intimidated by the creature's stature and look in its eyes. All Might thoughts, "My goodness, that is some muscle the creature has. Must be some kind of transformation quirk that allows him to grow big and strong," he analyzed in his head. "Random police officer, All Might, could you please take the creature down? We've already lost too many people and a couple of pros are already injured and one is dead." The police officer explains the situation. All Might takes a moment to understand the situation and takes a silent moment for the dead police officers and pro-hero. "All Might, yes, just leave it to me," he says while walking over to the creature. "All Might, I don't know who you are, but I'm going to have to ask you to stand down and turn yourself in," he says with authority in his voice. "𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫," growls All Might. "If you don't stand down, then I'm going to have to really hurt you," he says with a little more force, getting in his stance. "𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫," growls louder. Izuku doesn't take kindly to this and starts to run at All Might and tries to attack him. All Might, "So be it, if you want to fight then I shall give you a fight," he yells and starts charging at Izuku. 0:45 to 4 o'clock. Izuku is the Nomu and All Might doesn't have his injury since this take place before his fight with All for One. The pro-heroes are the students watching All Might. Thoughts, "Demon, now that guy could really poke hard. I've never had to use that much power in my entire life." All Might thought as the pro-heroes make their way to him to congratulate him. However, they didn't get the chance until they saw Izuku came crashing down into a crater and pulled himself out and roars at All Might. "Random hero, how could he still be conscious after taking a beating like that?" The pro exclaims in shock. "Random police officer, what's this guy made of? Those punches were probably enough to destroy a mountain," the police officer exclaimed just as shocked. All Might was also shocked by this. Those were some of the strongest punches he's ever given, but this creature was still walking as if it didn't faze him. He didn't have enough time to think because the creature came charging towards them and All Might went in for the attack. Stop at 7:55. This time Izuku is Abomination and All Might is the Hulk once again. The soldier and general and Betty are the police officers and pro-heroes also. Izuku can't speak, so ignore Abomination's words. After All Might strangled Izuku until he fell unconscious, he felt really tired and hurt. He never had to fight against someone this tough before and was really feeling the results. The rest of the police and pros made their way to All Might and Izuku and saw the results. They started congratulating All Might on a job well done, and all the people and media that were recording the entire fight live were relieved he won just like always. Their celebrating was short-lived when they heard some movement coming from Izuku. Though he was still awake, but he was just reverting back into his original self. When he finally reverted back, everyone was staring at Izuku with bug eyes and jaws on the ground. They saw a naked little boy lying down on his back snoring like it was the first time he slept in years. Random pro hero. Wait, hold up, you're telling me the creature we were fighting against the whole time was a kid? The hero yelled in shock and disbelief. Random police officer. This is ridiculous. How could some innocent little kid be such a monster and kill all those people? The officer exclaimed in just as much shock. The media and people on the streets were recording the entire thing, and they all were just as shocked as the pros and officers. But none were as shocked as All Might. All Might. Thoughts, I can't believe that it was a child the entire time that I was fighting. He was an actual monster in that fight. If he was this powerful now, then I would hate to see how strong he would become in the future when he has more control of that power. He thought in shock. All Might looked around and saw all the people looking at Izuku in disbelief and saw the new and people recording this. He knew that the boy will have a hard life with the entire world knowing how much of a beast he is and for all the people he's killed. All Might. Thoughts, I am getting too old for this. HT narrator POV. When Izuku woke up, he was in a dark room. He didn't know where he was, and that frightened me. He looked around and he found a door. He walked to the door and tried to open it, but he couldn't open it. That's when he heard an intercom come on. Intercom, don't bother, you're going to be here for a while, kid. So it's best you get comfortable. Izuku, who are you? Where am I? What are you going to do with me? Izuku asked one after the other while scared and nervous. The intercom didn't answer and just let Izuku stay there for now. Izuku knew they weren't going to answer, so he just laid back down onto the bed. He took a better look around the room and saw that there was a table with 2 chairs in the middle of the room, with a TV on the wall opposite of the foot of his bed. He saw another door, so he took a look inside and he saw that it was a bathroom with a shower. There were no windows and no clocks, so Izuku didn't know what time it was. Izuku was trying to figure out why he was in this strange room, but as he was thinking, he heard a click from the other door. He looked and saw a man with blonde hair and a black pinstriped suit come in with a folder. Talbot, hello there, Mr. Midoriya. My name is Colonel Glenn Talbot. I'm here to ask you a few questions, he said while staring down Izuku. Izuku was nervous and tried to look the man in the eyes, but the way the colonel was staring at him made his former friend Bakugo look like a lost puppy. Talbot, take a seat, Mr. Midoriya, he said, gesturing to the table. Izuku did what the man said. He couldn't disobey someone who looks like he could probably kill him at any time. Talbot, now I'm going to ask you some questions so that we can get a clearer picture of what happened, so we could understand how to go about this. Do you understand? He asks Izuku with a stern voice. Izuku was confused about what was going on, so he couldn't help but ask. Izuku, what do you mean, what happened? He asks with some confusion. Talbot took a look into Izuku's eyes and saw that the kid was genuinely confused. Talbot, Izuku, do you know why you are here? Do you remember anything that happened a couple of days ago? He asked while trying to look into the kid's eyes, but Izuku still refused to make eye contact with the boy. Izuku, a couple of days ago. What do you mean a couple of days ago? Izuku asked with some more confusion. Talbot, Izuku, you have been asleep for 3 days, he said while narrowing his eyes. Izuku was shocked. He couldn't understand what would make him fall asleep for so long a period of time. He started trying to remember what happened, but he stopped thinking when he remembered that his mom was still in a coma at the hospital. Izuku, Mom. Where's my mom? Is she okay? He asked with worry, thinking it was only a dream. Talbot looked at the kid while opening up the folder and reading it a bit. When he was done, he looked at Izuku and said, Talbot, it says that your mother went into a coma after being in an accident from a villain attack. That's when Izuku's heart sank. He thought it was just some dream, a horrible nightmare, but it was all true. He started crying while blaming himself because he knew if he didn't get into trouble that day then this would have never happened. Talbot saw the kid crying and sighed. He didn't have enough time to see a kid cry about his mommy. So he took the folder in his hand and slammed it onto the table, scaring Izuku to look up at Talbot. "Talbot, you listen here, kid. I don't have time to hear you start crying and feeling sorry about yourself, so I'm going to have to ask you to SCK it up and start answering my questions. Do you understand?" He says with a lot of authority and irritation in his voice. Izuku was scared and sad, but he was a little angry too. He wanted to say yes, but he didn't trust his voice, so he settled for nodding his head instead. "Talbot, good, in that case let's get back on track," he says while sitting back down. "Talbot, Mr. Midoriya, what do you remember before falling asleep?" Izuku took a moment to calm himself and started recollecting what happened. "Izuku, I remember my mom in the hospital bed, and when I saw her I started crying. The doctor came in and tried to comfort me, but when he wrapped his arms around me I started remembering what he told me 2 years ago. Flashback, Dr. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, sorry kid, but you can't be a hero," he said without any restraint. Flashback and Izuku, I started getting angry and then I started remembering all these other people. Flashback, Bakugo, what are you going to do about it, Deku? You're just a quirkless loser. A completely worthless weakling, he said and started laughing along with his lackeys behind him. Flash Principal, I'm sorry Mr. Midoriya, but my hands are tied. I have no choice but to suspend you from school, she says with regret in her voice. Both him and his mother got up from their chairs and walked out, but as Izuku was walking out he looked back at the teacher and saw a smirk on his face. This made Izuku very angry. Flash Izuku was running towards the crowd and asked them for help, but all they were doing is saying, "Let the pros handle it." Izuku ran over to the pros, but they just kept telling him to get out of the way and let the pros do their jobs. Izuku started getting angry and ran back to the car his mother was trapped in. Flashbacks and Izuku started recollecting every bad moment that happened to him throughout his life. "Izuku, I started remembering all these bad things that happened to me and then I pushed the doctor away from me. Then I started running out the hospital and somehow I ended up at an abandoned factory. While I was there I kept getting more angry until..." Talbot was very intrigued and leaned forward for the answer. "Talbot, until what, Izuku?" "Izuku, nothing. I just blacked out. Next thing I know is that I woke up here in this room." Talbot deflated a little hearing that answer, but he gained a little insight on what might have triggered his powers. "Talbot, okay Izuku, now that that's out of the way, do you know why you are here?" "Izuku, what do you mean?" "Talbot, what I mean is why do you think you are in this secure and dark room instead of the hospital?" he said while gesturing to the entire room. Izuku understood a lot of what he meant. If he passed out and he was found, the people should have taken him back to the hospital to get treated. So why was he here in this room? He kept asking himself. Talbot saw his confusion and brought out his phone and started playing a video of what happened. To say that Izuku was shocked was an understatement. "Izuku, what is going on? What is that creature and how strong is it that it can go toe-to-toe with All Might himself?" he asked with a lot of concern in his voice. "Talbot, well Izuku, to answer your first question, that is a video of a creature who started attacking police officers and pro-heroes who were investigating a disturbance at an abandoned factory that was going to be torn down for reconstruction, but the deconstruction crew called in about some creature that was tearing up the place doing their job for them. And to answer your second question, we believe that creature is you, Izuku." Izuku was even more surprised at this moment. How could he be this creature? He has no memory of doing all of this. Talbot saw the confusion and decided to clarify. "Talbot, keep watching the video and you will see why we believe you are this creature." Izuku did as he said and kept watching. If Izuku was at home and watching this, then he would have been jumping around seeing how cool All Might was fighting this villain, but seeing as he was in a very serious situation, he kept his giddiness to himself. When he saw the end of the video, he understood why they thought he was the creature. In front of the entire world, the creature shrunk down until it became Izuku. The entire world saw Izuku as a monster and knew to be wary of him. As the video ended, Talbot took back his phone and started asking his questions again. "Talbot, so do you see Izuku, this is why you are here instead of an ordinary hospital. You are too dangerous to be placed into a hospital and need to be secured. Izuku now understood why he was here. It was for everyone's safety, and so he doesn't go out of control. But there was still some things that were bugging him. Why did he have this power? He was quirkless, wasn't he? And where was here, anyways? Talbot once again saw his confusion and decided to clarify. Talbot, I know what you are thinking, Izuku. To answer your questions, right now you are in a secret government facility that is only known to the government. No one knows where this place is, not the public and none of the heroes. As for this power, we have analyzed this power of yours and we finally came to the conclusion that this is not a quirk, but a form of deformity. In other words, you were born with this power from the very beginning. Izuku was once again shocked. This was not a quirk, but some kind of deformity that he was born with. Izuku, how can that be? I was quirkless, but I was born with some kind of power that turns me into some rage-filled. Talbot looked into Izuku's eyes and started asking more questions. Talbot, Izuku, do you remember your father? Do you remember what his job was before he died? Izuku was even more confused. What did his dad have to do with any of this? And what does he mean his job? Talbot, your father, he worked for the government as a scientist who was tasked with making bioengineered super soldiers. He was getting close to a breakthrough when his project was cut off because the government knew how dangerous it was to test on human test subjects, so they shut the project down. Izuku was amazed at hearing this. His father was trying to find a way to create super soldiers for the government, but it was shut down. Izuku understood why they did that. These kinds of experiments could really cause some serious damage and possibly some deaths. So it was understandable why this happened, but what does this have to do with me? He asked himself. Talbot, did you know that your father wanted to be a hero and went to a hero academy, but he was kicked out because he couldn't keep up with all the other kids because of their powerful quirks? So after he was kicked out, he went to an ordinary school, graduated and went to college to get his doctorate and biological scientist. That was something he didn't know. His father wanted to be a hero. His mother never told him this. Then again, she rarely talked about him at all. Every time he asked about his father, she would get sad and put on a fake smile and tell him that he was a great man. Izuku knew there was more to it, but he didn't push it because he could tell that she was hurt just thinking about him, so Izuku would always drop the subject. Talbot continued with his questions. Talbot, did you know that it was your father who came up with the idea of super soldiers in the first place? He was desperate to make strong humans so that people with weak quirks could have a fighting chance against those with strong quirks. So he dedicated his life to creating this serum. Talbot continued and placed a picture on the table to show it to Izuku. Izuku saw this picture and asked what it is. Talbot, that there, Izuku, is a picture of your blood cells from when you were 6 months old. We found that in your father's office when we cleaned it out. It seems whatever your father was doing, it involved you. Izuku, but I don't understand. How do you know this is my BLD from when Jay was a baby? Talbot took another photo out of the same file. Talbot, this photo was in the same file when we found it. This indeed was a photo of Izuku when he was a baby. He knew because his mother had the exact same photo in her picture frame in her room. Izuku, this still doesn't prove that this is my BLD in this photo. Talbot took another photo out of the folder. Talbot, this is a photo of a BLD sample that we took 12 hours ago while you were sleeping. Izuku couldn't believe it. The pictures look almost exactly the same, except the second one shows that the BLD is more corrupt by this green stuff. And it says that his BLD is radioactive. Does that mean he's like a nuclear bomb of some kind? A ticking time bomb just waiting to go off? Talbot proceeded with the questioning. Talbot, and how did you get like this, you might wonder? Well, I have 2 theories. 1, he never stopped his experiments and went on to experiment on his own child and turned his own son into a complete monster and released it onto this world. When Izuku heard this, he goes scared and angry. Scared because he might be right and his father didn't truly care about him and used him as a test subject. Also, angry because he was called a monster by this man and at his father because it's also a possibility that the man never cared about him. Talbot, or 2, your father, he experimented on himself and it passed on to you the day of your BR. He continued. Izuku heard this and hoped it was the second option. Talbot, now I don't really care about either theory because simply I only care about you, he said while leaning forward. Izuku saw the man was getting closer to him and started leaning back a little from fear. Izuku, what do you mean me? Talbot, what I mean is I was actually a follower of your father's work. What he was doing was evolutionary. He was creating a way to make people into basically superhumans. There was no need for discrimination against those with weak quirks. If he succeeded, he could have revolutionized the entire world, but unfortunately, the world didn't want to change, so he was cut down before he grew too big for the government to control. Talbot stood up from his chair and walked down the table, getting closer to Izuku. Izuku was trying to shrink in his chair as he saw Talbot walking around the table towards him. Talbot placed his hand on Izuku's shoulder and said, "Talbot, and just when I lost hope for this new world, the answer falls right into my lap as a quirkless 6-year-old kid. You and me, Izuku, we are going to change the world, and it will all be because of you and your father. So what do you say, Izuku? Do you want to help me change the world?" Izuku looked back at Talbot with fear in his eyes. Talbot looked psychotic and Izuku just wanted to get away from him. All this talk of revolution just sounded crazy to Izuku and he just wanted to go home. "Izuku, I'm sorry, Mr. Talbot, but I don't think I want to do that." Izuku stuttered out nervously while looking at Talbot. Talbot heard this and frowned and then smiled very creepily. "Talbot, that wasn't the answer." He unwared and grabbed onto Izuku's face. Izuku was knocked against the wall and blacked out while hearing Talbot say, "Talbot, you know, it's very funny how those who have no power wish to have it, and when people like you who have all the power in the world wish that they never had it in the first place. The irony is not lost on me. Don't worry, I'll make sure your sacrifice doesn't go in vain and change the world like your father wanted. It's the least I can do for my hero." And with those last few words, Izuku blacked out completely and fell into his dreamland. Time skip, 7.5 years. We find Izuku in some sort of water tank with his arms and legs restrained to keep him from breaking out. Izuku is now 13 and almost 14, but his body looks ripped with muscles and scars. Over the years as he was experimented on, the scientists found out as every time Izuku transforms into what they are all deeming as the Hulk, his body gets stronger every time he transforms back into his normal self. Without exercising or training required, he can already lift 5 tons without breaking a sweat and has an advanced healing factor that heals him at an extraordinary rate. His healing factor is so strong that he actually healed from having all of his bones crushed and muscles torn in less than 45 minutes. His reflexes get better and speed gets faster as well. In his normal form, he can run over 90 miles per hour on a bad day and over 120 miles per hour on a good one. Every time he transforms, a little bit of his body gets stronger and faster every time. The scientists believe this is a result of him transforming so many times. Every time he transforms, his body has to compensate for the increase in strength, so his normal body takes some of the strength from his transformation so he wouldn't tear himself apart from his body changing. It's sort of how like training works. When you train a muscle, it tears itself apart and pulls itself back together again stronger than last time. This is basically how Izuku's body is getting stronger without training. Another thing they discovered is that Izuku has a strong immune system. Izuku's blood cells allow him to fight off any disease and poison that comes in contact with his system. The scientists injected the most deadly poisons in existence into Izuku and he always survives. Same with diseases, they injected diseases from the common cold all the way to certain cancers. Izuku is immune to viruses and sickness. This was a major breakthrough for the government, and so they wanted to get this out to the world, but Talbot and the government didn't care about diseases and sickness. All they cared about is making super soldiers. Over the years they have been trying to find a way to recreate Izuku's power, but for some reason every time they try to recreate it somehow it goes wrong and the test subjects they works on always die or are turned into absolute monsters that are put down immediately. Talbot's superiors are getting restless and need some answers, and he believes the key to his power are located in Izuku's brain. Somehow there's probably a natural stimulant that Izuku has that will allow him transform and transform back at will. There has to be an answer there at the brain. It's where we are right now. Talbot is planning to extract the key to Izuku's powers today. Little did he know, Izuku was planning all of this for a long time and tampered with the machine before getting in. All B needed to do was pretend to be a broken person and everyone lets their guard down and give him a little leeway. While everyone was setting up, he placed a paper clip inside the extraction machine so when they try to drill him, the drill won't be able to penetrate his skin and it will allow him to fully transform and break out. Narrator's POV. 𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗟𝗘. Alright, it's time for the enzyme extraction and we will be able to get the key to the super soldier serum. Proceed. The scientists start the machines and start forcing Izuku to have nightmares. This went on for several minutes until Izuku finally snaps awake. 𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗟𝗘 is not injured here. Izuku found himself in the middle of the Gobi Desert. Izuku knew this as he tried to escape numerous times and found out he was in Mongolia, far from his home in Japan. Izuku over the years has learned to control his powers some more and has some sort of control over the Hulk. He can still lose control of himself if he gets too angry, so to cope with this he allows his anger out, but has control over it to some degree. Izuku made peace with himself years ago when he discovered that the more he accepts that he's not a monster and he is the one in control, then he doesn't have to worry about losing control. Although he still loses himself when someone or something makes him too angry, but a little meditation and breathing exercises didn't hurt. Anyways, he found himself in the middle of the desert, trying to find his way back home. He knew that Japan is east of Mongolia, so that is where he will go. As he started walking, an explosion happened right in front of him. Izuku got up and saw the cloud of dirt right in front of him. Then he turned to his shoulder and saw that it was already healing. When he looked up, he saw that there were more explosions headed his way. So he jumped as far as he could, a few miles away. Time skip. Izuku is seen jumping through the desert, finding his way to Japan. He decided to take a rest at a appealing desert garden of desert flowers and plants. 𝐴/N. This was my favorite scene in the movie when I was a kid. Time skip. Once again, Izuku was jumping at great distances towards Japan. He passed straight through North Korea and then South Korea and finally hopped across the islands between South Korea and Japan. Right now Izuku is passing through Osaka and straight to Shizuoka, where Mizudafu is located, but as soon as he gets there he runs into another problem in the form of jets. Izuku is brushing his teeth, not shaving. 𝗏𝐻𝐾 POV. Right now I'm looking out to the bay and I see jets flying over the bay. I see them firing rockets at my Izuku in the water, and right now I'm getting very worried. I woke up from my coma over a year ago wondering where I was. The doctor came in and told me that I had been in a coma for over 6 years. I was shocked, of course, but the first thing I worried about was where my baby boy was. I asked where my son was and all the doctor did was give me a tablet and played a video of some green creature fighting All Might. I asked the doctor why he gave this to me and he answered by saying, "Just keep watching and you will understand." So I kept watching, and once the video was about to end, I saw what the doctor meant. My baby was the green creature fighting All Might, and he did all those things to those people. I wanted to run out the hospital to go find him, but the doctor held me down. I asked what happened to my son and the doctor told me that it didn't go public about what happened to him. Some say that he was taken to prison, which I hope is not true. A 6-year-old and prison don't work together. Some say that he was placed in child services and was adopted, which still didn't make me less worried, but I would be happy if he was being taken care of by nice people. However, the last thing the doctor said was that there was a rumor that the boy was taken by the government to be turned into a weapon. That is where my heart went down into my stomach and turned into a knot. If they turned him into a weapon, then he would basically lose his humanity and he would have no hope of becoming a hero, ever. I prayed to God it was the second option. Over this year I've been going through some rehab to get my muscles to start functioning well again. I was finally going to get out today, when I looked outside and saw jets flying by firing at the same green creature. I knew that it was my son, so the first thing I did was run towards the mayhem and tried to get whoever was firing at my baby's attention. I can still save my son and I will do whatever it takes to save him. Time skip. Narrator's POV. We see the people of the streets walking as if there is nothing wrong going on in their lives. All the kids are running around playing hero, and the people are heading to their jobs or shopping, while the heroes were patrolling. The day was going peacefully and there were no villain attacks today. It was a nice day until a few people and heroes noticed some cracks appearing in the street. "Betty is 𝗏𝐻𝐾 Izuku, you found me," he says with exhaustion in his voice. 𝗏𝐻𝐾 goes to her knees and wraps her arms around her Izuku while noticing all the scars on her baby's body. 𝗏𝐻𝐾, You weren't exactly hard to find," she says while trying to keep herself from crying from seeing her boy so hurt and tired. As they were hugging all the soldiers, police and pro-heroes started moving closer to them. 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 saw this happening and knew her son was in trouble. She looked down at her son and saw him smiling peacefully in her arms with a smile on his face as if he hasn't slept in years. She only had one thought in her mind. 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, thoughts no matter what happens or what they tell you, I will always believe you can become a hero. She thinks while tears spill from her eyes. The pro-heroes saw that Izuku was asleep and pick him up and put him in the military van so they can take him to a safe place to imprison him. This is going to be a long life for Izuku and it's only just begun. Narrator's POV. We see Izuku strapped to a chair wearing a white t-shirt and black briefs with black sneakers. He's looking down while contemplating the rest of his life. He's spent most of his life as a test subject and being used and abused by mostly everyone he's met. The only one who's ever truly cared for him is his mother. She's his whole world and he would do anything for her. His mother is watching him through a TV screen and worrying for her son. She's not allowed to go to her son just yet because someone has asked to speak to her son first before anything else happens. So she has no choice but to let things go as they should and be patient. The general has his soldiers placed everywhere throughout the prison. The prison is a secluded island out in the Bay of 𝐴𝐵 that is also a power plant. Using the power of this power plant, they have created a secure prison cell for Izuku. Should he go out of control, then they will use the full power of the power plant and fry Izuku to nothingness. Line break. Inside a building in the shape of a giant H, we see a small mouse/bear/dog hybrid watching a video of a green creature causing havoc to the streets of 𝐴𝐵. This is Principal Nizu, the principal of UA Hero Academy, and he has a look as if he's contemplating something. Across from his desk, there are 5 people watching the same thing. These are the staff of UA and also pro-heroes. If you're reading this story, then you should already know who these people are, so I'm not going to point them out because I'm too lazy. Midnight. While that man is a beast, I wonder how he would be in bed. Midnight focus. We're not here to listen to your little inappropriate comments. Midnight, Palpu, you're no fun. Snipe, that guy has a lot of power. He can go toe to toe with All Might if, God forbid, ever meets him face to face. 𝐶𝐮𝐻𝐵𝐺, I agree, should he ever meet someone like All Might, then the entire city is going to need a better insurance plan. Aizawa, snore present mic. I speak for myself and Eraser. Aizawa wakes up, just you goes back to sleep present mic. As I was saying, this guy is a total monster and should be put away before he causes more mayhem. Powerloader, I'm going to have to agree with Mike on this one. If this creature were to go free again, then who will guarantee that this creature doesn't go another rampage again? If this creature did this much damage in such little time and with that kind of power, then we are going to have a major problem. Ectoplasm. Isn't that the same creature that went on a rampage over 7 years ago and it took All Might and a few police and pros to take it down? All the pros took a look, except Aizawa, and looked like they were remembering something. Then they had a look of realization and knew that ectoplasm is right. This is the same creature that rampages all those years ago. Midnight. Now I remember, it's that creature that destroyed that old factory. 𝐶𝐮𝐻𝐵𝐺. Yeah, I remember that day. A lot of media covered it, but they were all silenced by the government because they wanted to keep this a secret, but unfortunately they underestimated the power of social media. A bunch of civilians posted videos of this creature on their social media accounts and it went viral. The public started calling the creature the Hulk. Aizawa snapped awake when he heard Hulk. He had a look of reminiscing. He was actually there that day. He saw many police officers killed that day and most of the pros were unable to help because they were frozen in fear of the creature. He was also frozen. It was the first time he went up against something that was overwhelmingly powerful. The creature was the embodiment of rage and hatred. It was like staring into the face of an angry lion that just wanted to pounce and tear you apart limb from limb. He remembered that one of the pros was very overconfident. The rookie actually went up to the creature and goaded it on like it was nothing. Aizawa knew that the hero was not being brave, but just plain stupid and arrogant. He couldn't even see the writing on the wall, that the creature could not be beaten by him. And what happened? The guy got kicked 100 meters into a tree and his neck snapped. The fool is now pushing up daisies in the cemetery. That's what he gets for being stupid and arrogant. Snipe. Whoa, I remember this. I was still in America at the time of this, and I remember that the Hulk was actually a kid. Wasn't it? Yeah, now that you mentioned it. I remembered that after All Might strangled the creature until it passed out, it started to change back into a little child. Present Mike. Hold on, you're telling me that this creature is actually a little kid. 𝐻𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘. Come to think of it, we never even got the name of the kid because of the government trying to clean it up. I wonder what happened to the kid. There were a lot of theories, and I think one of them was that the government took him away to run some experiments on him. Midnight. Wait, I'm curious, what does Hulk actually mean? Really, Midnight? Out of everything we just said, you take that out, everything to be curious about. Midnight. Hey, it's an honest question. What does Hulk actually mean? 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. It means repressed rage. The Hulk is the avatar of everyone who has ever been bullied and been unable to fight back. He represents the anger people feel when they are helpless to stop something bad from happening. Google that SHT Midnight. Whoa. So that's what it means. Do you think this kid was bullied a lot when he was young? 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. From the information I gathered years ago, this boy was constantly bullied because the children thought he was quirkless. In fact, when everyone found out he was quirkless, many people mistreated him. The teachers, they never helped young Midoriya when he was being bullied. As a matter of fact, they were the ones who encouraged it in the first place. Young Midoriya was constantly being ridiculed from others, and every time he pushed back, he was the one who would be punished. So he was pretty much helpless to do anything to help himself. So I think the name Hulk suits him very well. Present Mike. Wait. He was deemed quirkless. Then what the heck do you call that? 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. I was shocked too when I found out, but it must have been an error on the doctor's part. When I went to go question the doctor that did young Midoriya's test, the staff at the hospital said that he quit his job and then he just disappeared off the face of the earth. No one knows what happened to him. 𝐶𝐮𝐻𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘. Wait, he just disappeared? Just like that? There was no way to track him or something? 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. No, we couldn't find him no matter where we looked. He just disappeared. ectoplasm. Sarcastic. Well, that's not ominous. powerless. Hey 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, do you know what happened to this kid after All Might fought him? 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 started staring off into space when powerless asked this and remembered what happened that day. Flashback, we see Izuku handcuffed to a hospital bed sleeping with some hospital gowns on. As soon as he transformed back, All Might brought him back to the hospital. All Might sat there waiting for his friend from the police to get here to ask him some things. All Might looked down the hall from the room Izuku is in to keep an eye on him. When he looked down, he saw his friend Detective 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨 walking down the hall. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨, hey All Might, how you holding up? All Might, about as well as I'll ever be. When I came to 𝐒𝐮𝐴 to meet Night Eye, I heard a disturbance going on near the industrial district. As soon as I get there, it's chaos and a lot of police officers are dead. Looks down sadly 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨, puts hand on All Might's shoulder. Don't beat yourself up over this, All Might. You didn't know that this was going down and things just got out of hand really quickly. We can't save them all, that's what we taught ourselves, remember? All Might, thanks, I needed that. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨, no problem bud. Now can you tell me what happened? All Might proceeds to tell 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨 what happened, and during this time is where Principal 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨 comes in and asks a few questions of his own. 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨, so you're saying this boy was capable of going toe-to-toe with you at 75% of your power? All Might, that's right, at first I only used 10% of my power during our first clash, but then when he came back, he started punching me a lot harder and my punches were doing less and less effect on him. It was like the more we fought, the stronger he would become. Remember, All Might is still in his prime right now. He hasn't been injured by All for One yet, so he's not weaker. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨, that's really shocking. I can only imagine what kind of monster he would be in the future once he gets stronger and learns to control that power. All Might, I thought the exact same thing after I saw that he was just a kid. 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨, well, this is exciting. I can't wait to talk to the boy once he wakes up. I'm sure if we could convince the boy, he could become a great hero in the future. This has to be a case of an overwhelming quirk appearance. I'm sure that the boy didn't mean doing all those things, he was just overwhelmed by the quirk's power and needs to start learning how to control it. That won't be necessary. All three of them turn to the entrance and see a blonde man with a black pinstriped suit standing at the entrance. 𝐬𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, and who might you be? The name is Colonel Glenn Talbot of the Japanese American government. I have been assigned to this case and the government will be taking over from here. Gives 𝐬𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 a government paper. 𝐻𝐿, Colonel, what is the meaning of this? This doesn't seem like something for the government to sink their claws in. It's just a normal case of a child losing control of his quirk. Talbot, well, the government would like to disagree. This has now become a federal case and would like to take the boy into custody. All Might, custody. What do you mean, custody? You're making it sound like this boy is an enemy of the state. Talbot, well, until the government says otherwise he will be treated as so. A couple of soldiers came in and put Izuku's unconscious body inside a metal bedchamber and locked it. They rolled it down the hall and into a truck outside. The truck started up and drove away. All Might, Colonel, you can't do this. What will his family say? What will his parents say? Talbot, well, if you want to ask his father, you could find his grave 6 blocks down the street. If you want to talk to his mother, she is down that hallway, points to hallway 4th door on the right. You will find his mother in a coma as of yesterday. Talbot walks out of the hospital, leaving the hero, detective, and principal. 𝐬𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, this is bad. They're probably going to do something to that poor boy and there is nothing we can do to stop them. All Might, DMN. I've never felt so helpless. 𝐻𝐿, well, there is nothing we can do but go back to our everyday lives. All Might, 𝐻𝐿, you can't be serious. Who knows what they are going to do to that boy? 𝐻𝐿, I'm sorry, All Might, but it seems our hands are tied. We can't do anything lest we risk the wrath of the government. All we could do now is focus on our own problems. I'm afraid that the boy is far from our reach. All Might, doesn't make it any less better. 𝐻𝐿, I know, All Might, but for now, go back to doing what you do best. Starts walking out of hospital. All Might, and what do you plan on doing? 𝐻𝐿, doing what I do best. Flashback, and after that is when 𝐻𝐿 started investigating about the boy and found out his name is Izuku Midoriya. He was declared quirkless and was constantly scrutinized and ostracized by society and subjected to bullying. He also found out that his father was killed the same day during the same event that marked All Might's Japanese debut, and his mother went into a coma when both her and her son were driving home from Midoriya's school the day before his rampage after he was suspended for, allegedly, starting a school fight which led all the children to be sent to the nurse's office. Izuku had a very hard life and it only just begun. Powerless, 𝐻𝐿. 𝐻𝐿. 𝐻𝐿 was brought from his thoughts and acknowledged powerless. 𝐻𝐿, why yes, powerless, what was that? Powerless, I said, why did you bring us here to watch this? 𝐻𝐿, yes, the reason why I brought you all here is because I wanted to hear your thoughts on this and I wanted to make a suggestion. Ectoplasm, what kind of suggestion? 𝐻𝐿, if we should accept this boy into the Hero Academy. All the heroes looked at the principal, gobsmacked. Present Mike, are you serious? You want that kid tearing up things at this academy? 𝐻𝐿, I know you mean well, but this is just too crazy. 𝐶𝐮𝐿𝐱, I agree, if this kid has a little episode during his training here, he could put all the other students at risk. Midnight, not to mention the media will have a field day if they find out that we took in a kid like this and put all the students to risk. This entire time Aizawa looks like he's thinking about something. 𝐻𝐿, show 2, what are your thoughts on this? Aizawa, I would agree with the others about not letting this kid into the school. He's a liability and a ticking time bomb. He could snap at any moment. But, 𝐻𝐿, but what? Aizawa, now that I take a closer look, I think this kid has a lot of potential to become a great hero. Midnight, Aizawa, what do you mean? You saw the rampage he went on, and correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't you there 7 years ago when he went on his first rampage? Aizawa, yes, I was there and I can still feel the fear from that day. However, when I look back at that day and see the creature right now, I see that he has better control of this power. Present Mike, what do you mean have better control? He nearly destroyed everything in the streets. Aizawa, that's only because he felt like he was being threatened. 7 years ago he didn't start attacking until the police started firing at him. Then there is here yesterday when he was fired upon by jets. He didn't start attacking until he was attacked. 𝐶𝐮𝐿𝐱, that still doesn't prove he has better control. Aizawa, He gets up from his seat and grabs the remote and rewinds the video. Take a look at this part. Shows the jet flying toward the bridge. The jet was flying towards the bridge, and then the Hulk jumps down and lands on the jet to get the jet to fly underneath the bridge and saves all the people on the bridge. All the teachers saw what he meant. Aizawa. Then there is here shows the Hulk standing in the street about to throw a rock at the helicopter, but stops. The Hulk stops from throwing the rock at the helicopter because he saw his mother in it. Then there's here shows 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 walking down the steps towards Izuku. If he was a mindless monster, then why would he save the people on the bridge? Why would he calm down from the sight of his mother if he was a mindless beast? The heroes can see that Izuku has some sort of control of himself. He wouldn't have saved those people on the bridge, and he wouldn't have stopped from attacking the helicopter even if his mother was on it if he was a mindless monster. 𝐻𝐻𝐿, so you're saying that the boy has a chance? Aizawa. I'm just saying that things seem different now compared to what they were 7 years ago. He seems to have gained more control of his quirk over the years. Wherever he's been, it's probably helped a lot since then. 𝐻𝐻𝐿 looked down at the desk and remembered what happened that day at the hospital and stood up from his desk and walked towards the door. Snipe, where you going, boss? 𝐻𝐻𝐿, well, I'm going straight to the source. If you want to come, then follow me. All the teachers stood up and walked behind 𝐻𝐻𝐿 and wondered what he meant by to the source. Time skip. The teachers and principal are driving towards the power plant and see that it has been militarized by soldiers as far as the eye can see. They all get out and walk behind 𝐻𝐻𝐿 towards a man wearing a military outfit and seems like he's in control around here. 𝐻𝐻𝐿, General Ross, I assume. Ross turns around. Yes, are you the one we've been waiting for? 𝐻𝐻𝐿, yes, that's me. Teachers thought he already set this whole meeting up before having our conversation. It's really scary how he can plan ahead for everything sometimes. 𝐻𝐻𝐿, and who might this be? Gesturing to the woman standing next to the general, but is facing the other way. Ross. This is the boy's mother, Izuku Midoriya. As soon as she hears her name, she turns around to look at the other. All the male teachers start blushing at how hot she looks. Despite being a mother and being in a coma for 7 years, she looks way above average in certain areas for women in Japan. 𝐻𝐿, who are you people? 𝐻𝐻𝐿, I'm Mrs. Midoriya. It's good to see you are well, and it's great to see you recovering from being in a coma for 7 years. 𝐻𝐿, thank you for support. Smiles very brightly. All the men. Thoughts so bright and so cute. 𝐻𝐻𝐿, well, to answer your question, my name is 𝐻𝐻𝐿. I'm a principal at the Hero Academy of UA, and the people you see behind me are my staff. 𝐻𝐿, well, that's good to know, but why are you here if you don't mind me asking? 𝐻𝐻𝐿, not at all, we're here to ask your son some questions about his condition. 𝐻𝐿, oh, I see. Please tell me you're not planning on taking my baby to some maximum security prison. 𝐻𝐿 starts worrying for Izuku. 𝐻𝐻𝐿, not at all, we just want to clarify some things, and depending on how things go, we will make an offer to your son that might help him. 𝐻𝐿, okay, if you insist. The principal was led by the general to Izuku along with the teachers. When they get there, they see him strapped to a chair in chains and hooked up to some electrical machine. It's basically a more advanced electric chair. 𝐻𝐻𝐿, hello Izuku. Are you awake? Izuku looks up to see all the heroes. At first he feels a part of him start fanboying over some of these heroes since they were pretty famous, but he's too depressed to do just about anything. Izuku, what do you want? 𝐻𝐻𝐿, well, Izuku, my name is Principal 𝐻𝐻𝐿. I'm the principal of UA Hero Academy, and I came here to ask you a few questions if that's all right with you. When Izuku heard this, he started chuckling a little because he just remembered something. The other teachers and 𝐻𝐻𝐿 were wondering what he was laughing for. 𝐻𝐻𝐿, what's so funny? Izuku, sorry, it's just ironic. This is the same thing that happened 7 years ago after my first little episode. I woke up in a bed in a dark locked room. I couldn't leave, so I waited. Several minutes later, a man came in and asked me the exact same thing you did just now. 𝐻𝐻𝐿, I see. And just who was this man you speak of, if you don't mind me asking? Izuku, growls Colonel Glenn Talbot. 𝐻𝐻𝐿, I see. Well, I just need to ask you a few things, and when we're done we will know what to do with you. Do you understand? Izuku, okay 𝐻𝐻𝐿. Alright, now my first question is, do you remember how you got yourself here? Izuku, yes, I broke out of the secret government facility that was holding me in the Gobi Desert in Mongolia and traveled all the way here to Japan to find my mother. The pros were a little shocked. The distance between Mongolia and where they are isn't exactly a short distance. 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, and can you tell me in exact detail what happened between then and now? Izuku looked at 𝐻𝐮𝐴 and proceeded to tell him everything from how he broke out of the water tank to breaking out of the underground facility and even fighting against tanks, helicopters and jets. The pros and some of the soldiers listening were very entranced in the story and admired this kid's determination to get back to his mother despite the odds. 𝐻𝐮𝐴, well, that answers my first question. My second is, 7 years ago when you had your little episode for the first time, did you remember or were you in control of yourself back then? Izuku takes deep breath. Yes, I can remember what happened that day, and no, I was not in control of myself back. I started remembering more of what happened during my time at the government facility. At the time of my first episode, it felt so good I couldn't control myself at the time. 𝐻𝐮𝐴, what do you mean it felt good? Izuku, it's like being born for the first time, coming out for air. It feels peaceful, like there is nothing else in the world, just me and freedom. All I can hear is my own heartbeat just going boom. Boom, it's so calming and relaxing I can't help but let it take over me. All the heroes and soldiers and even his mother are looking at him as if they just had a small glimpse of what it feels like to be reborn for the first time with no regrets, no troubles, and no worries in their lives. 𝐻𝐮𝐴, that does sound very nice. Now about your quirk, it seems that, Izuku, it's not a quirk. He cuts off 𝐻𝐮𝐻𝐻, what was that? Izuku, I said it's not a quirk. This power I have is not quirk-based. This intrigues all the heroes, soldiers and his own mother. How can this not be a quirk? It's so powerful and anybody would kill to have a power like this. 𝐻𝐮𝐴, I don't understand, how can this power you have not be a quirk, and what makes you think it's not one? After 𝐻𝐮𝐴 asked these questions, Izuku proceeded to tell him everything Talbot told him and told him of all the experiments that they did to him over the years that helped prove that Izuku's powers were not a quirk. By the end of the story, everyone felt sorry for him, and the one who was most shocked was his mother. She had her hand over her mouth and felt sick to just stomach and felt like crying. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, Hisashi, what did you do to our baby boy? 𝐻𝐻𝐮𝐴 stared at Izuku with respect and admiration. He too was a subject to being a test subject when he was younger, so he feels some sympathy to how Izuku feels about being experimented on. 𝐻𝐻𝐮𝐴, I am really sorry you had to go through that, my condolences. All the heroes also felt empathetic towards him as well. It takes a lot of willpower to go through what Izuku did and still come out sane as he did. Even some of the soldiers can understand. They would want to do whatever it takes to get out of that hellhole no matter what, so they can understand why Izuku tore through them and everything they threw at him. 𝐻𝐻𝐮𝐴, well, let's get back on track. So when you transform into this Hulk, do you have control of yourself in that state? Izuku, Hulk. Is that what they are calling me? I guess it makes sense from all the rage. Well, to answer your question, at first I could never control myself at all. Every time I became too angry I would transform and lose myself to my rage, but I would have some sort of control. It's like driving and both I and the Hulk have one hand on the wheel and we're trying to take control over the other. 𝐻𝐻𝐮𝐴, you said at first, does that mean you have control now? Izuku, somewhat. I learned many years ago that the more I fought it the more I would lose myself to it. So I stopped fighting against what I am and learned to accept it. The more I accepted it the easier it got. At first all I did was start remembering everything that would happen while I change, but I still wouldn't have control. Then eventually it finally developed to today, I can transform at will and keep myself from transforming if I get angry. However, I can still lose myself if something makes me too angry when I'm in my Hulk form. 𝐻𝐻𝐮𝐴, like what? Izuku, well, while I was trying to break out of the underground facility, Talbot he tried to drill a hole into my head and extract my brain. Then after he failed he tried to kill me by shooting AM2 grenade at me, and then when I was close to the surface a wall of machine guns started firing on me. So I then threw the elevator platform at the general and his technicians. Which I'm sorry for, by way, no hard feelings general, but you got to admit you kinda had that one coming. He says while looking directly at the general on the other side of the chamber. All the soldiers started chuckling a little, and even the general cracked a small grin. The heroes started smiling, and even Aizawa started cracking a side smile from seeing a little light in the boy's eyes. Izuku, so yeah, I've pretty much got control over myself and my powers. I never asked for them, but I have to accept that they are a part of me now and they always will be and nothing will change that. 𝐻𝐮𝐬𝐴, well, that's pretty much everything I wanted to hear. You've answered all my questions brilliantly, but I have one more question for you. 𝐻𝐮𝐬𝐴 leans forward in his chair and pauses for dramatic effect. The teachers resisted the urge to roll their eyes at the talking mouse/dog/bear hybrid for making things so overdramatic. 𝐻𝐻𝐬𝐴, do you, Izuku Midoriya, want to become a hero? Izuku was shocked. He's asking if he wants to become a hero. The principal of UA High School is asking him if he wants to become a hero. Izuku, why are you asking me this? 𝐻𝐻𝐬𝐴, well, Izuku, from what I have seen, you have the potential to become a true hero someday. If you use your powers for good, then you can become a hero that rivals even All Might someday. Izuku, but what makes you think that I have what it takes to be a hero? I've done nothing but horrible things in my life. How could I become a hero? He asked while tearing up and a little hope in his voice. 𝐻𝐻𝐬𝐴, Izuku, you can't blame yourself for what happened 7 years ago. You lost control because you had a power you didn't even know about. If you want to blame anyone, then blame all those people who pushed you to do that. All you knew till then was nothing but pain and loneliness. The only one who showed you kindness was your mother, and no one else tried to help. You were all alone. Izuku started remembering all the times when he was a kid and all the times he was bullied and discriminated against. He started to cry. He doesn't remember the last time he cried. 𝐻𝐻𝐬𝐴, if you still think you don't have what it takes to be a hero, then do you remember what happened on the bridge when you went up against those jets? Do you remember that one of those jets nearly flew straight into the bridge? Izuku looks down and remembered the bridge. He saw that the jet was going to crash into the bridge. He knew that if he didn't do anything, a lot of people would be hurt. So without thinking, he jumped down and saved all those people without any concern for himself. Izuku, yeah, I remember what happened that day. I don't know what happened. My legs, they just moved on their own without me even thinking about it. It was completely reckless of me, but I couldn't just let that happen, so my body just moved on its own. As soon as he said that, all the heroes had smiles on their faces. What Izuku said proves that he has the heart of a hero. 𝐻𝐻𝐬𝐴, Izuku, there are stories of every hero, how they became great. Most have one thing in common: their bodies move before they have a chance to think, almost on their own, and that is what happened to you. Izuku looked up with tears in his eyes, and he sees 𝐻𝐻𝐬𝐴 standing before him with all the heroes standing beside him with the sun rising behind them. 𝐻𝐻𝐬𝐴, young man, you too can become a hero. This was it, the hope that Izuku needed. The hope that someone out there would believe in him. He couldn't help but cry after holding in his tears for so many years. The same went for his mother, who also had tears in her eyes with her hands over her mouth to keep herself from whimpering. This was her son's time, the beginning of her baby's journey to greatness. 𝐻𝐻𝐬𝐴 holds out his paw to Izuku. Come, Izuku Midoriya, this is your hero academia. Izuku POV, I woke up from my bed early in the morning, well rested for the big day today. I have spent over a year and a half waiting for this day to come, and it's finally happening. Today is the day of the entrance exam into UA. Many kids from all over the country and overseas have come to 𝐒𝐿𝐴 to take this exam. Many heroes have come to this school and graduated to become the best heroes known throughout the entire world. Endeavor, Best Jeanist, Miruko, Gang Orca, and finally the big guy himself, All Might. Every single kid who will be taking this exam will be gunning for the top of the heap. Whoever makes it to the #1 spot will become the class representative and rep the entire hero course for the rest of the year. Too bad all those kids will be fighting for second place, because I will be the one who will take the #1 spot. Line break. I was walking into the kitchen smelling crispy smell of bacon and the fluffy smell of pancakes. I took a look and I saw my mom wearing an apron over her nurse outfit. Over this past year and a half, after Principal 𝐒𝐻𝐬𝐴 gave me the opportunity to go to UA, he also gave my mom a job as recovery girls, or as I like to call her, Granny Chio, assistant nurse at UA. My mom took this opportunity as soon as the words left 𝐒𝐻𝐬𝐴's furry lips. My mom has been working at UA and gotten to know all the UA staff on a personal level. She and Midnight are now best friends, and she would come over to have dinner with us on every occasion she can. Although, it's kinda gets embarrassing having her try to stalk me every chance she gets. Something about me getting angry and going green turning her on, or something like that, I don't know. Anyways, as I was walking into the kitchen, I also see Midnight in her costume as well getting ready for her day at work. Midnight, oh hello handsome, you ready for the big day? 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, stop hitting on my son. Izuku, it's okay mom, by this point I'm already immune to her advances. Midnight, if that's the case then that mean I'm going to have to kick it up a notch if I want to get you. Stands up and bends over the table. Izuku, thoughts man, the author is very corny and perverted to have her do this in front of my own mother. /N, no breaking the fourth wall, even though it's true. Now you all know why this is a ℏ story. 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 smacks Midnight upside the head. 𝐴𝐵, I know that you are the R-rated hero, but there is a thin line between being R-rated and being downright pedophilic. Midnight rubs side of head and sits down. Oh come on 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, I was just teasing, you know it's just my little hobby. 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, yeah, and thanks to your little hobby, my son is now desensitized to the opposite section. You really 𝐂𝐮𝐿𝐿 the joy out of me embarrassing him getting a girlfriend. Midnight, oh so you were planning on teasing him when he got a girl to come over, and what exactly were you planning on doing to embarrass him if I may ask? Izuku, thoughts, did they seriously just forget that I was sitting right here? 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, oh I was planning on showing his baby pictures. He was such a adorable and cute little thing when he was a baby. I remember how cut he looked in his little all-might onesie. Midnight, oh I would have definitely loved to see a little Izuku running around playing as All Might. Haha Izuku, thoughts, this is going to be a long day. Time skip, I'm now standing in front of the UA building getting ready to go in to finally take the entrance exam. When the principal came to me a year and a half ago, he said I didn't have to take the entrance exam to get in since they already have seen what I am capable of. However, I wanted to take the exam, not just because it's fair, but also so I can see the competition. There are going to be a lot of kids with different types of quirks, and I want to see the potential kids who I will probably become my classmates. I'm going to spend 3 years in the same class as they are, so I might as well see what they are capable of first. Out of the way extra. Izuku, thoughts extra. Now what kind of self-centered narcissist would go around calling people that? Move. I get shoved out of the way by some blonde hothead who can't even make a slight turn to go around one person. The Pomeranian firecracker has made his way back into my life. God, I was so hoping that he had got himself arrested after he kicked a 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 lady in the face or something. I bet he would do just that and say, your baby probably would have tried to become the #1 hero in the future. I just wanted to show him early on who the real #1 truly is. Yeah, the #1 piece of SHT. As he walked away and started shoving other people out of the way, he shoved another girl a little harder than the others and she tripped and fell. Using my super speed, I ran as fast as I could to her and helped her up. Izuku, hey, are you okay, miss? Yeah, I'm okay. Thank you for saving me from having an NTMT relationship with the ground. She starts looking up towards Izuku. When the girl looked up at me, she stood awe-struck of the big, strong, handsome guy right in front of her. She started blushing up a storm and stood frozen in place. Izuku, thoughts, so this is what Midnight meant when she told me that a lot of girls will be falling all over for me. I didn't really think she was serious. Starts waving hand in her face. You, is anyone in there? Oh sorry, I spaced out right there. I tend to do that a lot when I'm around new people. Blushing Izuku, well that happens to a lot of people, so there's no need to be embarrassed. I'm Izuku Midoriya, by the way. Extends hand. Ochako Uraraka shakes hand. Izuku, well Uraraka, it was nice meeting you, good luck during the exam. Walks away. Ochako, thoughts, oh my goodness, I just talked to a cute boy. Time skip, I was in the auditorium sitting in my assigned seat in one of the front seats. Since I didn't go to middle school, I had to be homeschooled for the last year and a half for all the things I missed since I was in the 1st grade. The principal had some of the teachers at UA tutor me when they had some time to kill, but thanks to my super comprehensive mind, I was able to pick up everything extremely fast. I guess that was another good thing that came out of being the Hulk. I didn't just get a stronger body when I transformed, but I also got a stronger mind, thanks to learning how to calm my mind over the years and the Hulk's super hyperactive mind to always be on his toes when on his rampages. The lights dimmed down and music started playing. I knew what was going to happen next, so I just zoned out of most of what Mike was going to say. I was brought out of my thoughts when some 4-eyed idiot decided to call me out. For eyes, And you points directly at me. If you are not going to pay attention, then I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Some of us are taking this exam seriously. If you're not going to take this seriously, then leave. I started getting irritated by this guy. Who does he think he is telling me what to do, like he knows everything and that he's always right and I'm wrong about everything? My muscles started bulging and my eyes started glowing green. Present Mike saw this and he started sweating. He knew if this kept going on then I would lose my temper, and so he defused the situation before it got out of hand. Present Mike: okay, settle down examinee 7111, I was just getting to that. The last robot is nothing more than an obstacle in your path. It's advised to avoid it at all cost. It's not that it can't be beaten, there is just no point. 4 eyes, bows at a 90-degree angle, thank you, please continue. After that, all the examines left the auditorium to head to the buses that will take them to their respected testing grounds. While this was happening, a certain blonde Pomeranian was thinking something. Pomeranian, thoughts, that kid with the green hair, why did he seem so familiar? Doesn't matter, I'll crush him like all the other extras. Time skip. All the examines were at their respected gates. I was doing some light stretching and breathing exercises so I don't lose my cool in there. I may have gotten a whole lot better control of my power, but that doesn't mean I can't lose myself to my rage should I get hit really hard by those puny tin cans. Puny tin cans. Man, I've been letting my Hulk show a lot more lately. As I finished my stretches, I saw the girl from the entrance earlier ahead of me. She looked like she was really nervous, so I walked over to her to give her some words of encouragement. As I was walking to her, I felt someone put their hand on my shoulder. I looked back and it turned out to be 4 eyes again. 4 eyes. Looks at Ochako. She looks like she's trying to concentrate. Are you trying to disrupt her concentration to give yourself an advantage? If so, then you should just leave. He starts glaring at me. I had enough of this idiot, so I grabbed his hand from my shoulder and I started crushing his fingers slowly. He started to let go and I just kept the pressure on them. Izuku, listen here, buddy. I'm getting sick and tired of you accusing me of doing something wrong when I haven't even done anything to begin with. I was just going to give her some words of encouragement to help her calm down, but you have to mess it up. I don't care how you were raised or how you were taught, but no matter how you were taught, you should know that you are not always right. So stop acting like you know everything and actually stop to analyze a situation before you jump to conclusions. Just as I let go of his fingers, I heard Present Mike yell, "Start." I didn't hesitate. I ran using my speed and left, leaving a gust of wind and a smoke trail behind me. Present Mike, what are you all waiting for? There are no countdowns in real life. There's already someone ahead of all of you. Run, run, run. That's when everyone started running towards the robots, but it was already too late for them. I already took out at least a dozen 1- and 2-pointers already. I'm already at 19 points. I just need to keep this up for the next 10 minutes and I should be good. In the UA observation room midnight, we got ourselves a mighty good CRP this year. Snipe, I'll say, there's some pretty good quirks out there. Nizu, yes, some have to use their speed to get higher numbers, while others have to do reconnaissance and plan out their next moves, while some rely on their brute strength and combat prowess to get to their goals. All the teachers were watching the screen of all the examines using their quirks and skills to get more points. While they were doing this, Inko, she was also in the room watching for her son, and SK was midnight. Midnight? Oh my, just look at Izuku, he's rounding up all the big points. All the teachers look at the screen with Izuku on it. Most of them weren't surprised to see he was getting the most points. With his strength and speed and the skills he's developed over this last year and a half, they weren't shocked to see him cleaning house. The only one shocked was All Might, who was not informed of Izuku going to UA just yet. Since this was his first year teaching and he was so focused on his successor, he didn't realize Izuku was here. All Might, wait, hold on, isn't that the kid from 9 years ago that I had to knock out? And the one from a year and a half ago that tore up a city block? Nizu, yes, that is him. All Might, I forgot to inform you that he was going to UA thanks to a recommendation to me. All Might, wait, you recommended him? Nizu, yes I did, over a year and a half ago after that event you just explained. I went to ask him some questions and he said that he wanted to become a hero, so I gave him a recommendation. Unfortunately, he turned it down and said that if he was going to be a hero, he wanted to earn it the hard way. So he turned down the recommendation and asked to take the exam. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. That's just like the kid, he always wants to do the right thing and show that he's worthy of becoming a hero. Midnight. Yeah, and I have to admit it's really hot. It's really making me want him more, and pile it up with watching him go down on all those robots is really making me wet. Okay, we really need to give her a shock collar so she would know when and when not to say or do something over the line. Midnight. Oh, I wonder if Izuku is into SLV and MST or play power loader. Anyways, let's see what the examines think about this. Pushes red button multiple times to change the subject. Quick back with the examines. I just finished destroying another 3-pointer, bringing my score up to I would have got a lot more, but I had to save a bunch of idiots that in over their heads from dying. As I was tallying my points, the ground started shacking and I looked up and I saw the 0-pointer. So that is the 0-pointer, and I thought Present Mike said that it was just an obstacle, not a goddamn moving fortress. It's no wonder he said not to fight it. This is probably to test to see if we can go up against the impossible odds and not freeze up. As I was looking at the 0-pointer, all the other examines were getting scared and running in the other direction from the robot. My inner Hulk was telling me to destroy that tin can and show my demps. Just when I was going to jump to punch it, I heard a yell. I looked at the foot of the robot and I saw 𝐬𝗧𝗏𝗏's foot stuck underneath the rubble. I didn't hesitate to run as fast as I can to the robot. I knew I couldn't get 𝐬𝗧𝗏 out in time, so went straight towards the robot. I reared my fist back as hard as I could and I let my muscles bulge as much as possible to get the maximum strength possible. My shirt completely ripped off of my body and I threw my fist as hard as I could towards the robot's center. I punched so hard that the robot completely stopped moving and started to blow up to smithereens. All the examines had their jaws on the ground from seeing the pure power behind that punch. Even the teachers and All Might were having a hard time believing it. Izuku has gotten much stronger over the years and it's just getting more unbelievable. When 𝐬𝗧𝗏 saw this, she was enchanted by that strength. It reminded her of All Might's. She looked at Izuku's face and she saw a smile on his face like he enjoyed it. This smile made her feel safe, a warm inside, and couldn't help but smile herself. When the 0-pointer stopped moving, Izuku walked over to 𝐬𝗧𝗏 and lifted the stone slab off of her foot with ease. Izuku, 𝐬𝗧𝗏, are you okay? Ochako, yeah, I'm okay, but that was amazing, Midoriya. I've never seen a punch like that. The only person I've seen punch like that before is All Might, and not many people are as strong as he is. Izuku, yeah, thanks a lot, 𝐬𝗧𝗏. Rubs the back of his head and smiles. Ochako, thoughts so cute. Izuku, well then let's get you out of here. Izuku went to pick her up, but as he was doing this, Ochako couldn't help but admire his body. It's like every part of his body was carved out of pure granite. She would have thought he was invincible if it weren't for all the scars she can see. Ochako, thoughts, what did you go through to get those scars? Izuku. Izuku bent down and scooped her up in a princess carry. Ochako started blushing and couldn't help but feel up his muscles. They were so hard and well defined. She was entranced by those strong muscles that she forgot all about 𝐬𝗏's scars. As he was walking towards the entrance, everyone was looking at him in a new light. They knew they shouldn't mess with someone like this if they didn't want to get messed up, so they all parted like the Red Sea as he walked towards them. Yes, you are all great heroes, but please don't overwork yourselves, please have some gummies. Izuku walked towards the old woman to hand 𝐬𝗧𝗏 to her. Izuku, Granny Chio, I have someone here who needs your help healing her ankle. Recovery girl, oh, then let me see there, sweetie. Ochako showed her ankle and Recovery girl didn't waste any time and gave her a kiss on the ankle. In a matter of seconds it was all healed as good as new. Ochako, wow, that was fast and my ankle feels good as new. Recovery girl, yes, that's my quirk, consider yourselves lucky that you have me on standby. Izuku, Mom. Inko, oh, I'm so proud of you, son. You really rocked and stole the show. Izuku, thanks Mom for supporting me. Inko, notices Ochako, oh sweetie, who's this? Izuku, ℏ. Oh, this is Ochako 𝐬𝗧𝗏. Ochako, this is my mom. Ochako, it's nice to meet you, Mrs. Midoriya. Inko, it's nice to meet you too, dearie. Recovery girl, yes, it was nice catching up, but Inko, I need you to go tend to the injured children. Inko, oh yes, thank you for reminding me. I'll see you at home. Izuku walks away. Izuku, Bye mom waves goodbye 𝐻𝗧𝗧𝗟𝗘, your mom is really nice. Izuku, yeah I know. Anyways, great job out there. I saw you fighting against those robots. You have a very unique quirk. 𝗻𝗧𝗧𝗟𝗘, thanks, you're not bad yourself. I saw you tearing through those robots like 𝗀𝗧𝗏 were tissue paper. You are really strong, especially against that zero-pointer. Izuku, thanks, I really felt great being able to let loose for once. 𝗻𝗧𝗏𝗘, yeah I know what you mean. Well, it's been great getting to know you Midoriya. I was wondering if it was okay if we could exchange numbers so we can message each other when we get into UA. Izuku, you're really confident that you will get in, aren't you? 𝗻𝗧𝗏𝗘, oh I know I got in, I got over 45 points. How many did you get? Izuku, I think I got 89 points. 𝗻𝗧𝗏𝗘, what? That's almost twice as much as I got. You for sure got in with that amount of points. Izuku, well thanks for the compliment. Anyways, here's my number, give me a call when you get in. Hands her his number. 𝗻𝗧𝗏𝗘, thanks, and 𝗧𝗏 mine hands him her number. Izuku, well it's been nice meeting you 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟𝗘. Till next time, bye. 𝗻𝗧𝗏𝗘, yeah bye. Time skip. I got home several hours ago and I'm exhausted, not physically, but mentally. Heaven knows I can keep fighting for days thanks to my near limitless stamina. I heard the door open, I looked at the door and saw Midnight coming in. She had a wide grin on her face. She took off her shoes and walked over to me and sat in my lap and leaned back onto my chest. Midnight, well it's official, you are now a UA student. You got the highest combat and rescue points in all of history. You completely shattered All Might's record, you got 149 points altogether. Izuku, well that's great, then that means I'm the class representative, right? Midnight, yup, that also means you'll have to give a speech at the UA Sports Festival. Izuku, great, that's not nerve-wracking. Midnight, you'll do fine, I know you will do great. Also, I saw you with that girl 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟𝗘, I think her name was. Izuku, yeah, what about her? Midnight, I saw how she was all over you and blushing up a storm. Looks like you're already starting to build your own little ℏ. Izuku, hey, it's not my fault that she started falling for me then and there. Midnight, yes, well it's not like I mind anyways. We have been dating for a few months ago. Ever since we went on that little date after our little history lesson, I've been a lot happier every single day afterwards. Dating you has made my life a lot happier. Izuku, tell me Nemuri, why did you start dating me? It couldn't have just been about me going green, can it? Midnight, no it's not that, although it is a plus, watching you become all big and muscly does make me hot. It's not the only reason. I've tried going on dates with a lot of guys over the years, but they were always intimidated by me and my little hobby, but not you. You saw me as if I was just another woman who needed some love like any other woman would. You actually saw me for who I truly am, and so I fell for you instantly. I would do anything for you, even help you build a ℏ if you wanted. Izuku, well I don't need a ℏ because all I need is you. Midnight, you are so sweet Izuku, but the author already put the ℏ tag on the story, so you're going to have to live with it. A/N, again no breaking the fourth wall. Even though it's true, I've already got it planned out, so it's too much trouble to change it now. Izuku POV. Today's is my first day at UA High. I'm really excited to finally start my journey to becoming a hero. Inko, Izuku, hurry up. You don't want to miss your first day of school. My mom starts to yell from downstairs so she can drive all three of us to school. Yes, I said all three of us. Nemuri, she started living with us after the entrance exam several weeks ago, after my mom walked in on us on the couch that day. It's actually a very funny memory. Flashback, Nemuri and I were having a little makeout session after she told me that I have been accepted into UA. If I were still a scrawny little weakling like how I was years ago, then I probably would be a blushing and stuttering mess, but after being experimented and tortured for so many years, I learned never to show fear or signs of weakness to anyone. I didn't want to give Talbot the satisfaction of seeing me cry or scared, so all I did was smile with defiance and accepted it like it was a challenge. That's how I see everything now, nothing more than a big challenge for me to conquer. That being said, when I started getting hit on by Midnight, I just saw it as another challenge. A challenge where we see who can last the longest and has the strongest willpower to not start blushing and getting embarrassed. At first I kept losing because, well, it was Midnight. I have been a big fan of hers since her debut when I was 5. Can you imagine your childhood celebrity crush was hitting on you? You take the opportunity when you get it, or else you can't call yourself a man. So that's how it all started. At first it started as casual flirting, then we started hanging out on her days off, and then finally we started dating. Thanks to all the flirting, I'm kinda now desensitized to a woman's advances, and I can tell when a girl likes me in a romantic way. 𝐻𝐻𝐼 decided not to beat around the bush and teach me how it looks if a girl truly likes me or not. So I'm not going to be some dense idiot protagonist. This isn't that type of story, although I'm still going to pretend to be dense around other girls. 𝐻𝐻𝐼 finds it very cute when I act dense around other girls, and I find it funny. Yeah, 𝐻𝐻𝐼 has rubbed off on me and turned me a little sadistic. Or it's probably the author who is the sadistic one. /N. Hey, what did I say about the fourth wall? Anyways, back to now. 𝐻𝐻𝐼 and I have been making out like corny teens for the past 10 minutes, and we were so into it that we didn't even bother hearing the door open. This is going to be entertaining. 𝐻𝐻𝐼, I'm home and I just want to say I'm proud of yo. She stopped mid-sentence and saw us together on the couch. Now normally she would just think it's 𝐻𝐻𝐼 just trying to stuck him like always, but not this time. This time, without even knowing it, we somehow started taking our clothes off. My shirt was off and I had bit and pieces of 𝐻𝐻𝐼's hero costume still in my hands. It's pretty easy to strp a woman when her costume is designed to be ripped off at any moment. 𝐻𝐻𝐼, what the hell are you two doing? 𝐻𝐻𝐼, I thought I told you not until he gets accepted into you. Izuku, thoughts? 𝐂𝐮𝐲𝐫, this is my worst nightmare come to life. What kind of guy wants his mom to walk in on him when he's about to go down on his girlfriend? This is so embarrassing. Wait, hold on a minute, did she just say not until I get accepted into UA? Midnight, he did get into UA. That's why I'm giving him his reward for doing a good job. She says while giving my mom a smile. 𝐻𝐻𝐼, wait, you're telling me he got in? My baby is going to be a hero. Midnight, yes, he got in and I was just finally giving him his reward for making it in. Izuku, wait, hold on, mom, you already knew that me and 𝐻𝐻𝐼 were already dating. 𝐻𝐻𝐼, duh, it was pretty obvious. You weren't very discreet about it. So when I found out, I talked to 𝐻𝐻𝐼 and we came to an agreement that you two wouldn't officially start going out until you get into UA. Izuku, and why wasn't I informed about this? Midnight, because it was funny. Did you see your face when she came in? I thought your eyes were going to pop out of your head. Haha, I can't believe it. My own mom decided to play a little prank on me. Yup, we are a pretty fun family to be around. 𝐻𝐻𝐼, I'm sorry Izuku, it was just a little joke. I have been hanging around your new girlfriend for too long now. Anyways, why don't we have a celebratory dinner to congratulate Izuku on a job well done? Midnight, oh yeah, I was planning on asking you if you could teach me how to cook. Now that Izuku and I are now a couple, I'm going to need to learn how to cook when we marry. And I can use some tips about being in a marriage relationship. 𝐻𝐻𝐼, oh sure thing, and you can tell me all the little NTMT things you two have done together. Winks, when I heard this I started blushing up a storm. Midnight brings out a notebook with a score for Midnight and myself. That's one more point for me. I just made you blush, darling. Izuku, that's one doesn't count. You had my mom help you out. Midnight, all is fair in love and war. And I love you. Izuku kisses him on the lips. 𝐻𝐻𝐼, oh, I just realized since you are his girlfriend now I get to show his embarrassing baby pictures to you now. Izuku, Flashback, and so, yeah, that's how it was when my mom supposedly found out about us. I really love my mom, but she can be a handful sometimes. Midnight, Izuku, hurry up, we're going to be late. Izuku, coming. Time skip, we made it on time and went our separate ways, after my mom gave me a quick peck on the cheek and 𝐻𝐻𝐼 gave me a long drawn-out lip lock on the lips. That woman is seriously asking for it when it's time for us to get in bed together. As I made it to the class door of 1A, I still can't understand why this door is so big. Izuku, thoughts? But I guess it kinda makes sense when you have people like 𝐴 coming through these doors. I open up the doors and the first thing I see is Bakugo getting scolded by 4 from the entrance exam. 4, you there, get your feet off that desk right now. You are disrespecting the history this desk has seen and all the future students who will inhabit it. Bakugo, get off my butt and get the stick out of yours. 4, there won't be any future students after me because once I become the top hero they won't need anybody else. There is 𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫's winning personality. You have just got to love him, just as much as a steaming pile of SHT that you accidentally step on. 4 eyes, let's start overs. My name is 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. I'm from 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽 Private Academy. 𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽. Then you must be some fancy rich kid. Then that means I'm just going to have to kill ya. 𝐮𝐽𝐽, kill me. Are you sure you want to become a hero? With that attitude you would do better as a villain. Truer words have never been spoken. I was about to walk in and take my seat without anyone noticing, but 4 eyes had to point me out. 𝐮𝐽𝐽, oh, it's you from the entrance exam. Everyone in the room stopped what they were doing and looked over to me. It was dead quiet and very awkward for me. So I just responded back to him as casually as I could. Izuku, yes so. 𝐮𝐽𝐽, my name is 𝐀𝐮𝐽𝐽𝐽. I'm from 𝐒𝐮, he says while marching over to me like a robot, but I cut him off. Izuku, yeah, I heard you the first time when you were arguing with that other guy. Extends hand. My name is Izuku Midoriya. It's nice to meet you. 𝐮𝐽𝐽, it's nice to meet you. Shakes hand. Midoriya, you understood the true meaning behind that test. For doing this, you truly are a better hero than I could ever be, and for that I apologize for my attitude during the test. Bows at a 90-degree angle. Oh, it's you, Izuku. I turn around and see Achiko coming towards us from down the hall. Izuku, oh hey Achiko, it's good to see you again. Just so you know, over the weeks she and I have been texting each other and hanging out from time to time. We hung around so much that we started saying our first names. Achiko, it's good to see you too. It's great that we both got into the same class together. I expected you to get in here since you got the highest score during the exam, but I didn't expect I would get in here with you. It's great to have friends in the same class to talk to. If you're here to make friends, then you should just pack up and leave. We all turned to the voice and we saw a hobo in a caterpillar outfit. But I know that he is our homeroom teacher Aizawa aka Eraserhead. My name is Aizawa Shoda, I'm your homeroom teacher. In the time it took you to quiet down, hundreds of lives could have been lost if this were a hero situation. You all have no DSPLN, but I'm going to change that. We're going to have a quirk assessment test and the bottom scorer will be expelled. 𝐮𝐽𝐽. That is completely unreasonable, you can't just expel us as you please. Aizawa, guess we'll see about that, won't we? Gives manic smile. All of you get dressed in your gym uniforms and meet me at the training field. We all started walking out, but I didn't see a certain explosion quirk user staring at my back. Bakugo, thought so, he is the one that got the top scores during the exam. I'm going to enjoy crushing him. Also, why does he look familiar and his name sounds familiar too? Whatever, he's just another bug in my path, waiting for me to crush him. Changing room, we all started changing into our gym outfits. I started taking my shirt off, not noticing that some of the guys were staring at me. Blonde guy with a black lightning bolt. Oh, what happened to you? Did someone put you into a blender and hit frappe? Guy with purple ball on his head. Yeah dude, you look like a cutting board, and what's with all those muscles? All the guys are now looking at me thanks to those 2 idiots. I'm getting very annoyed, so I just respond with, Izuku, it's none of your business. That's when I walk out in my gym uniform and left the guys hanging. Training field. Aizawa, alright, now that you're all here, we're going to do a series of physical tests in which you will use your quirks to get the best score possible. He said before looking at Midoriya and tossing the ball to him. You go first, throw this ball as hard as you can. I'll measure its distance with this. Do whatever you need to as long as you don't leave the circle. He said, pointing to the circle on the ground. Izuku walked into it and took a deep breath before his muscles in his pitcher's arms started bulging. He took a pitcher's stance before hurling the ball as hard as he could. Aizawa looked at the readout screen of his device before turning it to show Izuku had hurled the ball 2,500 meters. The other students' eyes went wide at this as Izuku moved back to his standing position. Achiko, nice one Izuku, she says while hugging his arm against her chest. Izuku, thanks Achiko, but could you let go? Your chest is pressed up against me, I said while smiling down at her. She opened her eyes and saw that her breasts were pressed up against his arm. She started blushing and let go quickly, not noticing all the jealous stares of some of the girls towards her, and stared from boys towards Izuku. Aizawa, next is you. He tosses the ball towards Bakugo. Bakugo catches the ball. I guess I have to show you extras how it's really done, he says as he gets into a pitcher's stance. Bakugo, die. The ball rocketed upward into the sky and out of sight. 𝐻𝐮𝐬𝐴 showed off Bakugo's score, showing he'd only thrown the ball 705 metric tons. He growled, his palms smoking as he glared at Izuku. "Bakugo, this doesn't mean anything, broccoli head. I'll just beat your butt at everything else," he shouted, stepping out of the circle as the test continued with the remaining 18 students, but all were astonished when the girl Izuku had saved during the entrance exam revealed to be 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 scored infinity, putting all scores to shame before moving on to the next test, a 50-meter dash. The pressure seemed to ratchet up through the roof, the very air becoming heavy under the tension between Izuku and Katsuki until the starting signal blared, releasing all that tension into forward movement between the two. Katsuki blasted forward like a horizontal rocket while Izuku pushed off the ground, leaving indentions of his shoes in the ground, soaring forward as a green bolt. The twos take off, blasting air into the crowd of students, nearly blowing away the purple-haired boy, but as quickly as it had started it was over, with Katsuki crossing the line with a time of 4:13 and Izuku right before him with a time of 1:00. Bakugo, he yells while firing little explosion from his hands. The others watched the two boys in awe. The quirk assessment didn't seem to matter to them in the least compared to whatever they had against one another. Their mentality seemed to infect everyone, making them all push themselves harder. The next test was the grip test. The highest score was 𝐀𝐮𝐴 with 540 kilograms. Izuku couldn't get a reading because he kept breaking the grip test, so 𝐻𝐮𝐴 just labeled it as infinity. Bakugo raged at the overwhelming defeat and vowed to defeat him at the next test, which was the long jump. However, once again he raged when Izuku used all his strength to jump all the way to the other side of the training field. The next test was the repeated sidestep. Izuku got second in this because it was taken when some kid kept bouncing off his purple ball. 𝐻𝐮𝐴, over and over again non-stop. The three remaining tests, Izuku got the top spot because he is the most physically fit in the entire test. Now we are going to see the list of students. 𝐻𝐮𝐴, alright, testing is done, and since it would be irrational to call out your scores one at a time, I'll put them all up here. Izuku looked and smiled, seeing that he was at the top. The scores went from Izuku Midoriya, Momo Yaoyorozu, Shoto Todoroki, Katsuki Bakugo, Tenya Ida, Fumikage Tokoyami, Mizo Shoji, Masahiro Ojiro, Ejiro Kirishima, Mina Ishido, Ochako Uraraka, Koji Koda, Rikido Sato, Tsuyu Azui, Yuga Oyama, Hantasiro, Denki Kaminari, Kyoka Jiro, Toru Hagakure, and Minoru Mineta being dead last. The poor boy looked shell-shocked, his very soul attempting to leave his body. 𝐻𝐮𝐴, oh yeah, that whole expelling the lowest scoring student was a necessary deception. No one is going anywhere as of yet. Most of the class looked shell-shocked except a certain few. 𝐻𝐮𝐴, go back and get into your uniforms, you still have the rest of the day. He walks away. Ochako, man, that was very nerve-wracking. For a minute there I thought he was really going to expel one of us. Ida, I agree, that is no way a teacher should act. Lying to his student and claim it's for their own benefits. He says while doing some arm chops. Izuku, actually he wasn't lying. All the students turned to him wondering what he meant by that. Girl with spiky ponytail, what do you mean he didn't lie? It was obviously a lie to get us to bring out our full potential. Izuku, you're half right, he did say that to motivate us, but it was still valid because he was planning to expel you if you didn't show any potential to be a future hero. It didn't matter whether you got the lowest score or not. If you didn't show any potential or motivation, then he would have cut you here and now before wasting his time with you. All the students had a look of realization on their faces and started sweating a little. Guy with tape arms. Wait, hold on, how do you know that he wasn't lying? You could be wrong and he really was just trying to motivate us to do better. Izuku, my mother, she works as an assistant nurse here at this school and she just so happens to be friends with some of the staff here. Both her and the teachers here told me that 𝐻𝐮𝐴 expelled an entire class last year. On the first day, all the students started sweating even more and gulped, trying to wet their drying throats from breathing too much. Izuku starts walking. Just so you all know, this school is meant to break you and then build you up again. It doesn't care who you are or where you come from or what kind of backing from your family you have. This school is meant to nurture heroes, not children playing dress up and pretending to be heroes. So just like how 𝐻𝐮𝐴 said, if you're only here to make friends and have fun, then you might as well leave now. All the students look at Izuku's back as he walks away. They see that no one is more motivated and serious about being a hero as he is. It makes sense because he has more motivation and experience to see how the world truly is, and he wants to become a hero to prevent all the things that happen to him to happen to anybody else. Unknown to him, he was being watched by Izuku from around the corner and heard the entire conversation. Izuku, thoughts this kid. That's right, he has the most motivation out of everyone in the entire class. No one has seen the cruelty of this world more than he has. A quirkless kid who was bullied and discriminated against for years only to discover a power deep within him that turns him into an absolute monster. They all have a long way to go, and I think you, Izuku, will be the one to lead them through this journey. Time skip. I start walking out of the building and walk home since my mom and 𝐴𝐵 have to work late every afternoon with schoolwork. As I was walking, I was stopped by Ida and Ochako, and surprisingly the girl with a spiky ponytail. Ochako, hey Izuku, you going to the station? Let's walk together. Izuku, yeah sure, let's go. Looks at girl with ponytail. Oh, and who are you again? Ponytail, oh yes, forgive me, but my name is Momo Yaoyorozu. Izuku, nice to meet you Yaoyorozu. My name is Izuku Midoriya. Ida, greetings, my name is Tenya Ida. Ochako, and my name is Ochako Uraraka. It's nice to meet you. Momo, it's nice to meet all of you. Looks at Izuku, forgive me, but I just want to say thanks for informing us about the test today. I was completely misinformed and read the situation wrong, so thank you. She bows her head. Izuku, there's no need to bow and there is no need to apologize. I just knew because my mom told me about what happened last year and I just put 2 and 2 together. Ida, but still you were able to see through all this and yet you still got the top score for the test. That was truly impressive. Ochako, yeah Izuku, you were so great during those tests. You almost completely dominated the entire test. Izuku, yeah, but I didn't come first in every test. You got infinity during the ball throw. Maybe your new nickname should be Sweet Infinity. Ochako, blushing, why Sweet Infinity? Izuku, because you love sweets and you got infinity in the ball throw. Ochako, oh right yaha, she says while blushing some more and rubbing her head. Momo, anyways I should get going, my ride is here. She says pointing to a limo. Ochako, stops blushing, you have a limo. Do you come from a rich family? Momo, starts blushing, well yeah, I come from the Yaoyorozu family. My family is very influential in Japan. Ochako, whoa, that is so cool, it must be nice being rich. Momo, looks down a little sad, yeah it is, anyways I'll see you all tomorrow. See, as she walks to the limo. While she was walking away, Izuku noticed how sad she looked when Ochako mentioned how nice it must be. He filed that away for later. Izuku, anyways let's get going before the sun goes down. Ochako/Ida, right Izuku POV, today I woke up feeling a weight on my side. I looked to my right and I saw 𝐴𝐵 lying on top of my arm. She must have gotten while I was sleeping because I don't remember her coming to bed with me last night. I take a better look and see that she is only wearing a sweater. Man, she can make anything look secretary. It's a wonder why so many guys were so intimidated by her. She's as cute as a kitten when we are alone together. I look at the clock and see that school will start in 2 hours, so I reluctantly shake 𝐴𝐵 awake so we can get ready. Izuku, hey 𝐴𝐵, it's time to wake up. Midnight. Izuku, it's time to wake up, I've got to go to school and you have to get to work. Midnight, 5 more minutes. She rolls onto her back. Izuku, fine if that's how you want it. Semi-lemon start. I start kissing and liking her neck. She started murmuring and mumbling about how good it feels. I wrapped my arms around her back and started stroking her back with my fingers. Once I was done kissing and liking her neck, I pulled her sweater over her head. She didn't wear a bra, only panties underneath. I started kissing and liking her down her collarbone down to her upper chest and finally her bios. I started squeezing and 𝗧𝗜𝗚𝗟𝗘 her BRST, moving them in circles. Then I started kissing the sides of her BRThs and liking around her areolas. Finally, I started skiing and liking her NPL. I used my other hand to start pinching and twisting her other NPL. Once I was done with one NPL, I turned to the other and did the same. Hearing her and wrap her hands around my head, keeping me from leaving her cleavage. She kept miming louder and louder until she finally let out one more load and started breathing hard. I didn't need to be smart to know that she just cummed from my little 𝐻𝗧𝗟𝗘. As she was catching her breath, I started kissing her stomach and going lower until I made it between her legs. I saw that her black panties were soaked through. So being the gentleman that I am, I brought my hand to the waistband of the panties and pulled them down until they came off of her long, smooth legs. I took a look at her small pink snatch. I saw the nicely groomed black path of big hair above it. This is my first time doing something like this, so the first thing I did was put my fingers on either side of her labia and pulled them apart and looked inside. I could smell her must and I just wanted to lick it, so that's exactly what I did. I started liking her insides and wiggled my tongue inside her tight snatch. 𝗚𝗎 started miming louder than before and brought her hand down to my hair and got a good grip of my hair and kept me between her legs. As I was liking her inside, I saw her 𝐶LT was swollen and was begging for attention. So I took my tongue out of her and started liking and 𝐮𝐭𝐻𝐿 on her 𝐶LT. The results were instantaneous. She ummed louder and gripped tighter onto my hair with both hands. To add more pleasure, I started biting gently onto it, and she started wrapping her strong legs around my head. I took my fingers and plunged my middle and ring finger into her snatch while I play with her 𝐶LT. I started pumping my fingers gently into her, then after a few pumps, I started curling my fingers upwards and hit her G-spot. This resulted in her to unwrap her legs from my head and start bucking her hips into my face, making me go deeper into her. I started flicking her 𝐶LT faster with my tongue and hitting her G-spot faster. After a few minutes, I sucked my tongue and fingers. I started liking her insides and started pinching her 𝐶LT hard. After a few seconds, she bucked her hips up one more time and shoved my head further into her snatch, and she cummed hard. Her juices started squirting into my throat. I drank her juices as fast as I could and finished by liking her clean. Semi-lemon over, I pulled myself from between her legs and went up to her mouth and kissed her. She wrapped her arms around me and savored her juices on my tongue and lips. Midnight. Now that's how you wake a girl up in the morning. Izuku, glad to see you're up. He gives her a peck on the lips. Now get up and get dressed, you got work to do. Midnight. Ooh, so demanding. I like the dim Izuku, it really turns me on. I get up from bed and starts getting my clothes from the drawers. I start heading towards the door with my clothes, then I turn around to look at 𝗚𝗎. Izuku, if you like that, then get but up and come to the shower so we can continue. She didn't need to be told twice. Without putting on her sweater, she ran straight towards me and started kissing me. We made out while walking all the way to the bathroom. Note to self, 𝗚𝗎 loves it when I'm the DM in T1. This is good to know for future activities. Time skip to UA. I couldn't get my mind out of what I did this morning. This was the first time I did something that extreme with 𝗚𝗎. I just went and did it without thinking and I really enjoyed it. Also, like I thought earlier, 𝗚𝗎, she may act like a dominatrix all the time, but it turns out that she likes to be the one that is dominated by her partner. I started blushing from earlier because as 𝗚𝗎 and I were walking down the hallway while kissing, my mother was watching the entire time and we didn't realize it until she cleared her throat. I came to my senses after that and 𝗚𝗎 and I both started blushing up a storm. Things were awkward during breakfast. Even 𝗚𝗎 was not immune to the embarrassment. All my mother did the entire time was give us a knowing smile and drove us all to school afterwards without saying a word and a smile on her face. Ochako, hey Izuku, are you okay? I was brought out of my thoughts when Ochako came up to me and tapped me on the shoulder. I looked at her and saw she had a look of concern on her face. Izuku, yeah, sorry, what was that? Ochako, I was asking if you were okay. Been staring off into space all day today. Also, your cheeks have been pink all day today. Momo, yeah, you've barely said 10 words today and you look like you have something on your mind. And during Midnight's class your entire face was red during the entire class. You only talked when Midnight spoke to you. Ida, now that you mentioned it, it kind of looked like Midnight was blushing herself the entire time. Some of the students in class were listening in on the conversation and couldn't help but wonder what was with the greenette. He seemed so calm yesterday, but today he seemed out of it today and a little nervous. Izuku, and no, I am just excited for class today and I just didn't get any sleep last night. Mina, or maybe you were up last night dreaming of a special girl and that's why you couldn't sleep. Had to get up early and change the sheets, huh? Boys sure have it rough. She says this while sitting on Izuku's desk and looking at him with a knowing smirk. Mineta. Oh, I get it. Don't worry, this happens to a lot of guys. Just make sure before you do it that you lock the door beforehand, okay? Kaminari, what are talking 𝐴𝐵O? Oh, I understand, he's right Midoriya, it happens to a lot of guys, so don't worry about it. Jiro, what are you idiots talking about? Kaminari, nothing, it's just guy stuff you wouldn't know. Ida, see here now, that is not a subject to be discussed in the classroom of all places, and it's Midoriya's personal business, you should respect that. Ishido. Tenya said this, coming to Izuku's rescue. Mina shrugged as she slid off Izuku's desk, her skirt hiking itself up as she did so, flashing Izuku a bit of her black and blue striped panties before it fell back into place. Mina, calm down. Ida, maybe if you relieved some of that stress more often you'd be more chill. It's not healthy to hold back. Right, Midori? Mina went back to her desk and sat down. While Ochako went back to her desk and put her face in her hands, scarlet from wondering if it was her he was dreaming about, not noticing that Momo also had a pink hue on her cheeks with her eyes closed, but her entire body is stiff as a board, trying not to react. I am coming through the door like a normal person. All Might came rushing into the room while holding onto the sides of the door in his Silver Age costume. This was totally not how a normal person should enter a room, and how is his cape flying in the wind? There are no open windows here. Kaminari, whoa, it's All Might. Kirishima, it's All Might, can you believe it? Aoyama, yes, magnifique. All Might started strutting towards the podium at the front of the class, and his cape is still flying in the wind. How is he doing that? Curiosity got the better of me, so I took my eyes off of All Might and took a peek out into the hallway, and I saw Present Mike with a fan pointing towards the room. All Might, yes, it is I, All Might. I will be your teacher for today, and today we will be going through battle training, but before that you have to look good. He says this and gets a remote out of nowhere and presses the button. After that the wall starts opening up and boxes with our student numbers start coming out. All Might, the support companies worked HRD on your specific costumes, and now we'll put them and you to the test. Get into your costumes and meet me at testing ground beta for your lesson. He said before opening the door and running full speed away, kicking up a small dust storm as he did so, leaving his class to get ready for whatever the pro hero had in store for them. Time skip ground beta. All Might stood at the entrance to training ground beta as he heard footsteps and saw the students approaching in their hero costumes. Izuku is not there yet, so ignore Izuku's costume. All Might, you all look amazing, super heroic. Ochako, wait, where's Izuku? Izuku, I'm coming. Everyone look back and they see Izuku wearing his own costume. All the girls start blushing from seeing his big strong muscles through his tight costume. Some start getting nosebleeds and bright blushes. While some of the guys are jealous of Izuku's big muscles and him getting the attention from the girls. Kirishima, wow Midori bro, that costume makes you look so manly. He says while crying manly tears. Izuku retracts face mask. Thanks Kirishima, yours doesn't look too bad either. Kirishima, thanks a lot Midori bro, gives thumbs up. Ochako, hey Izuku, you look good in your hero outfit. I look over to Ochako and take a look at her outfit, and I think she looks great in it. Izuku, yeah, Ochako, your costume look very cute too. Although don't you think it looks way too skin tight? Ochako, blushing, well yeah, I guess I wasn't too specific about what I wanted for my costume. Momo, at least it's better than mine. We both looked at Momo and she looked down. Right Secretary Izuku, okay, now that puts another level on showing skin. Momo, blushing while trying to cover herself, yeah, you see my quirk kinda needs me to have my skin uncovered unless I want to rip through my clothes every time I use it. Ochako looks Izuku and sees he eyeing Momo's costume more than hers and starts pouting. All Might, alright you zygotes, listen up. Today will be a mock indoor battle between two-person teams. Hostage situations, underground deals, illegal trafficking, all these take place inside buildings under unknown conditions. The premise of this foundational training will be as such. The villains will be guarding a WMD that the heroes will be trying to secure by either capturing the villains with this capture tape. All Might held up several rolls of tape between his fingers. Or by securing the WMD, of course the villains need only keep control of the weapon until time runs out or capture the heroes. Your teams will be chosen at random via these two boxes. No, come up and grab hold of your destiny. Izuku was walking back from drawing his lot and passed by Toru, who he bumped into, feeling something squish against his arm. He jumped back, waving his hands in apology. Izuku, so sorry Toru, I didn't see you there. Toru, it's alright Midoriya, I'm usually more visual than this, so it's not entirely your fault. She walked forward and drew her lot. There was another accident with the girls later on. Jiro tripped over Toru, dragging both into falling into Mina and Uraraka, but other than that there were no other mishaps. Before the team was revealed, the first team up would be Midoriya and Jiro as the heroes versus Tenya and Bakugo as the villains. Izuku looked over, locking eyes with Bakugo, who wore a vicious smile. All Might, so it's been decided Jiro and Midoriya will take on Tenya and Bakugo. The villains will get a 5-minute head start to set up before the heroes are sent in. Everyone else to the monitoring room to watch. In the monitoring room, Mina, Toru and Uraraka were fuming, each having saw Izuku's letter when he apologized to Toru for bumping into her. The three had then each tried to get the right one, but before any of them could check their lot, Toru and Jiro had fallen on them, making them drop their lots, which meant that they couldn't be sure who actually had the right lot. Not that it mattered now, since Jiro was with Izuku. Outside the test building, Izuku was standing next to Jiro. He extended his hand out for a handshake. Izuku, Jiro, right. I'm glad to be working with you, so let's win this. Jiro looked at his hand with an inscrutable gaze and shook his hand. Jiro, you're really into this, aren't you? Or is it because you just want to beat Bakugo? What is it with you two? Izuku, I don't know, he is just one of those guys who sees everyone as nothing more than another obstacle in his path, and I guess he sees me as just another person for him to crush underneath this boot. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a bully at his last school, picking on kids weaker than him. Jiro, yeah, I guess that makes sense. He does seem the type. So do you know each other? Before he could answer, the starting alarm went off and they went inside. The moment Izuku stepped into the building, Jiro felt a change in him. It was like he was hyper-focused. The look in his eyes sent a chill down her spine and heat through her core. It was like she was standing next to a lion. She bit her lip at the danger Izuku seemed to exude as her face blushed. Izuku, I and Bakugo were friends in our early childhood, but when he got his quirk he changed and started acting like a bully. I distanced myself from him and focused on my training, which only upset him more, and he began picking fights with me. Then due to some personal circumstances, I left and we never saw each other again. This is actually the first time I've seen him over the years, and it seems he hasn't changed. He doesn't even seem to remember me anymore. Jiro, so you two used to be free? She was cut off when Izuku lunged towards Jiro, wrapping his arms around her as he pulled her out of the way of an explosion caused by Bakugo, who wiped away the smoke, looking at Izuku, who was on top of Jiro, who lay on her back on the floor. Jiro was blushing madly as she stared at Izuku, who had his eyes on Bakugo. She could feel the heat off his body and smell whatever body wash he was using. It smelt so good she felt like wrapping her arms around him as she rubbed her thighs together. In the monitoring room, Kirishima, a sneak attack. Bakugo, not manly bro. He said this while punching his fists together before he felt a wave of malice behind him. He looked over to see Mina and Uraraka with intense glares on their face, and though he couldn't be sure, it seemed like Toru was equally furious. Kirishima, see, you guys get it? That's not manly at all. Back with the test, Izuku stood up from Jiro and looked directly at Bakugo with a fire in his eyes. Bakugo, finally, no more hiding. This time I'm going to kick your butt and show you who the real number one in this class is. Izuku, Jiro, find another way around and look for the bomb. I'll catch up. Jiro, okay, you better make it. Jiro ran down another hallway and Izuku turned fully towards Bakugo, ready to fight. Bakugo, great, just you and me now. Now I'm going to grind you into dust like the little pebble you are. He yells as he throws a wild right hook with an explosion in his hands. Izuku grabs his capture tape and wraps it around his wrist and spin on his heel and slams Bakugo into the ground, leaving an indent in the ground and knocking the air out of him. Izuku flips Bakugo over on his front and grabs his other arm and wraps the capture tape around Bakugo's other wrist. All Might on speaker, Katsuki, Bakugo eliminated. Izuku, you really are predictable. Bakugo, you always lead with a right hook even when we were kids. Did you honestly think I would fight you? I'm not here to waste time, I'm only here to win and become a hero. I left Bakugo there to sit and mope about losing again. I could have beaten him without breaking a sweat, but that would have wasted time and 𝗧𝗘 could be in trouble by now, so I can't waste time. 𝐻𝐿𝐴, damn it, I lost again. I won't accept defeat this easily. Also, what did he mean when we were kids? Did he know me when we were little? I can't remember him. Whatever, I'm not going to leave until I show him who's the true number one in this school. 𝐻𝐿𝐴 tore the capture tape off and ran the way Izuku went to fight him again. In observation room, Mina, whoa. Did 𝐂𝐿 see that? He took 𝐻𝐿𝐴 down in no time at all. Momo, yeah, that shoulder throw was perfectly executed. Tokoyami, yeah, and he didn't waste any time with wrapping 𝐻𝐿𝐴's wrists in the capture tape. That shows that he doesn't waste time and keeps his eye on the goal instead of waste useless time doing senseless fighting. All Might listened to the kids and couldn't feel more proud of Midoriya. He sees a bright future for this boy. He knows that Midoriya may not have the best past, but he can see that the boy has a great future as a pro hero. Back at the test with Ida. So 𝐻𝐿𝐴 has been captured. What a shocker. It's now up to me to keep the bomb safe. Now I need to into character. Unknown to Ida, while he had his back turned trying to GWD back into character, 𝗧𝗘 already found him and started moving towards the bomb. Ida, I know how about this. Haha. You heroes think you can win. How about I show you the true face of villainy and take you down? Justice will never prevail when villainy is on the rise. As he turned back towards the door, he heard a laugh coming from behind him. He turned around and saw 𝗧𝗘 with her hand on the bomb and holding her sides. 𝗧𝗘, that was great, Ida, but I think you need to tone down on the laugh though. Villains don't laugh and monologue anymore. All Might on speaker, hero team wins. Observation room, Kirishima, wow, now that is how you win. Oh 𝗧𝗘, that was a good test. Both of the hero team's members took care of their tasks quick and efficiently. Azui, hey, what is 𝐻𝐿𝐴 doing? Back to the test. I came to the bomb room after hearing we won and see 𝗧𝗘 trying to comfort a moping Ida who is on his hands and knees muttering about not paying attention. Izuku, I see you beat Ida. 𝗧𝗘. 𝗧𝗘, not exactly. I more like snuck around him while he was getting into character and just placed my hand on the bomb. Izuku, really? Well, that seems anticlimactic, although I would have definitely wanted to see Ida and his acting. 𝗧𝗘 giggles, yet was so hilarious seeing him try and get into character. I couldn't hold it in and burst laughing. We both started laughing, but we were interrupted by the screams of a certain firecracker at the doors. 𝐻𝐿𝐴, hey, broccoli head, we're not through yet. Not until we have a real fight. Izuku, sigh not again. Look here 𝐻𝐿𝐴, let it go. I beat you fair and square and my team won. Stop acting like a baby and learn from your mistakes and take the loss like a man. 𝐻𝐿𝐴, shut up. I don't care about the test. I just want to crush you and everyone else in this school and show that I'm the real number one. Becoming a hero doesn't mean jack sht unless you are at the top. A hero always kicks their enemies, and I am not going to lose ever. As he says this, he puts his gauntlet up and starts moving the pin. All Might on speaker, young 𝐻𝐿𝐴, stop, you will kill them if you unleash that in that enclosed environment. 𝐻𝐿𝐴, it will be alright as long as they dodge. He starts pulling the pin and we try to move, but he just keep on aiming at me every time I move. As he pulls the pin completely out, I see 𝗧𝗘 behind me trip and fall, so I have no choice but to shield her with my body. Observation room, Mina, Ochako, to Momo, Izuku. Kirishima, whoa, that's not manly 𝐻𝐿𝐴. Mineta, is he trying to kill them? Back with the test. As the room filled with smoke, we see Ida at the side of the room looking at 𝐻𝐿𝐴. There is a big hole in the wall on the opposite side of the entrance of the room. 𝐻𝐿𝐴 stares into the smoke and sees a shadow moving. The wind from the hole blows the smoke away and we see Izuku without his shirt and holding an unconscious 𝗧𝗘. Izuku whispers, you almost killed her. 𝐻𝐿𝐴, what? Izuku, you almost killed her. 𝐻𝐿𝐴, so what? She shouldn't have been behind you, and it doesn't matter, you're stupid, but protected her anyways, so it's fine. Now stop being such a baby. Something inside Izuku snapped, and so he turned around very slowly and looked at 𝐻𝐿𝐴 with glowing killer green eyes. Izuku, that's it, it's time I gave you a lesson you will never forget. 𝐻𝐿𝐴, yeah, and what are you going to do, Abu? Observation room, all the students are shocked to see Izuku beat down mercilessly on 𝐻𝐿𝐴 and have no remorse while doing it. Some of them want to say something, but they are kind of afraid now. If Izuku found out, then he would probably turn on them. All Might, 𝐀𝐮𝐬𝐴 if this goes any more out of control then Izuku will tear up the entire building and nearly cripple Bakugo. I need to go and stop this. All Might ran as fast as he could towards Izuku and Bakugo hoping to stop this beatdown. Unfortunately by the time he will get there it would already be too late. With Izuku and Bakugo had been thrown into another room on the other side of the building and he got back up and tried to glare at Izuku, but all he got back was an ever scarier glare that he could never accomplish. Izuku, Bakugo, you really don't learn, do you? When are you going to learn that the world doesn't revolve around you? You can't get away with everything just because you have an amazing quirk. All the schools and other people in your life may have praised you and wiped your butt for you as you grew up, but things are different now. You are not a hero and you never will be with your attitude. So until you learn what it truly means to be a hero, stay out our way and leave us alone. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. As Bakugo heard that, he had a flashback to when they were kids and he remembered Izuku. He remembered how the kid always followed him around and was the first one to praise him. However, as time went on he became arrogant, getting praised by others and started to believe that only those with strong and awesome quirks are the only ones who should be praised and the weak should be stepped on so the strong can grow and leave the weak at the bottom. As he remembered Izuku, he remembered a weak and quirkless little kid. He kept following him like a stray puppy and he was the first obstacle in his way. This little SHT believed he could be a hero despite being quirkless. This irritated Bakugo and it contradicted what he believed and he would not change his beliefs all because of some quirkless, useless, weak. Bakugo, Deku. As I was walking back towards the entrance I heard that name again. That demon name that haunted me for years before he finally got over it. Izuku, so you finally remember me, Bakugo. Well, now that you remember me you now know I'm no longer weak and powerless, so keep that name to yourself. Bakugo, bullshit. You are nothing more than a Deku. You have always been a Deku and you will always be a Deku. I started getting more irritated and I was on the brink of snapping from hearing his voice. Just one more word to push me over the edge and I will break. Bakugo, you are always weak and you're only pretending to be strong. To me you will always be that weak quirkless loser. Nothing more than a pebble for me to crush. Izuku, yeah, well, you know what, 𝐀𝐮𝐿. I turn around and give him a determined glare. Izuku, this pebble can shatter diamonds. After I say this I turn my back towards him and walk away, but before I got out of the room, the idiot had to go and say, Bakugo, yeah, whatever, run away and start crying towards that where of a mom like you always do. That is when I hear something shatter in me and I turn and ran towards Bakugo as fast as I could and punch him directly in the face. Bakugo got sent sailing out of the building and into another and into another and into another, until finally he stopped about 5 buildings down the block. Izuku, consider yourself lucky I held back. I walked away towards the observation room. Observation room, everyone just witnessed the beatdown and that final punch to Bakugo. They don't know what Bakugo said to make Izuku that mad, but whatever it was it would probably be the last time he makes Izuku mad, they hoped. Izuku walked in with Ida and Jiro walking behind him. All Might went to get Bakugo out of the rubble and send him to the nurse's office. As everyone looked at Izuku, they became a little wary of him, worried he might snap again at any moment. Izuku sat down on a chair and looked back at the video screen. He didn't bother listening to whatever All Might said about MVP when he got back and just zoned out the rest of the lesson. Time skip, end of class. All Might. Alright my students, that's the end of the lesson. I hope you all learned something today and I hope you all get some rest for tomorrow. Now watch me run out of here like a hero. All Might turned around and ran quickly out of the training ground with a dust trail behind him. We all went to the changing room and got changed back into our uniforms. We went back to our homeroom and settled there until the end of the day. Everyone was staring at me for the longest time, until I got a little angry and just snapped at them. Izuku, what? Stop staring at me. It's getting annoying. Everyone got out of their trances and got startled by Izuku snapping at them, and so Ochako decided to acknowledge the elephant in the room. Ochako, Izuku, what was that during the test today? Izuku, what do you mean, be more specific? Ochako, well, why did you beat on Bakugo? We can understand the explosion and protecting Jiro, but what about that last punch you gave him? I looked around and saw that everyone was looking at me for answers. So I decided to tell them the truth. There is no point in hiding it. If they are going to be my classmates for the next 3 years, I might as well tell them. Izuku, it's my power. The power I got, it only responds to rage, and it's why I'm more susceptible to getting angry than the average person. It's the reason why I went all ape SHT on 𝐻𝐿. He made me angry and he decided to push my buttons, and so I snapped. Kaminari, your power? You mean your quirk? What exactly is it? Izuku, it's not a quirk, my netta. What do you mean it's not a quirk? Then what exactly is it? Izuku, a genetic experiment. I looked at their confused faces and elaborated, this power I have, I was born with it, there is nothing natural about it. I'm a genetic experiment that my dad accidentally created when I was born. Momo, what do you mean? How are you a experiment gone wrong? Izuku, you see, before I was born and my parents got married. My father was a biological scientist that worked for the government. He was tasked with finding a way to make super soldiers by messing with their biology and make them stronger. By the time he was finished, it was already too late. The government realized that doing something like that was too dangerous, so they cut the project before they started testing it on human soldiers. Everyone who was listening was shocked to hear this. They never thought that the government was planning on doing something this dangerous, but this still doesn't explain what it has to do with Izuku. Mina, Midori, this still doesn't explain anything about you and your power. Izuku, I'm getting to that. So my father was off the project, but he was so obsessed with the project that he continued it on his own. However, he had no one to test it on, so he tested the serum on himself to see if it would work. Everyone was leaning in to hear the story. No one noticed that Aizawa was already in the room in his sleeping bag, but he didn't want to interrupt Izuku and his story, so he stayed quiet. And what happened next? Did it work? Izuku, no, it didn't work on my father, it was a complete failure. Everyone was kind of deflated knowing that it was a complete failure until Izuku, but that was until he met my mother and I was born. Everyone was interested again and leaned back in. Izuku, after I was born, my father, he did a checkup on me and saw that my DNA was different than the average humans. He saw that my DNA was slowly changing and turning me into something else entirely. My father was afraid of this, so after several months of trying to find a cure for me, he died. Everyone was sad to know that Izuku's dad died trying to save his son from turning into something else, but he failed and died. Kirishima, I'm sorry for that, bro. How exactly did he die? Izuku, he died during the event of All Might's debut. Everyone's eyes shot wide open. They all knew what he was talking about. A lot of people died that day of All Might's debut. It was the day that everyone held dear to themselves and gave hope to others. However, this was also the day that Izuku lost someone close to him and didn't even get the chance to get to know because he was too young. Jiro, we're sorry Izuku, we didn't know. Izuku, it's alright you didn't know. Anyways, years later when I was 4 years old, I went to the quick doctor and I found out that shared no signs of showing any quirk. Ochako, so you were quirkless. Izuku, yup, on paper and in the eyes of the government, I was quirkless. When word got out I was quirkless, a lot of the children started bullying and discriminated me for years. The teachers never tried to help me when I was being bullied and the adults all ignored me. Everyone started feeling more bad for Izuku. He was being hurt and tortured at a very young age. No one tried to help him. Izuku, the one who was at the forefront of all the bullying, was 𝐻𝐿. He was my best friend before me being quirkless, and as soon as he found out I was quirkless he started bullying and everyone else just fell in with him. The students and Aizawa can now understand why Izuku beat on 𝐻𝐿 so much, and they couldn't blame him for what he did. They've all seen 𝐻𝐿 and how he acts, so they can understand this. Izuku, anyways, 2 years later when we were 6 years old, I saw 𝐻𝐿 and his lackeys bullying some other kid. So I jumped in and helped the kid and I defended him against 𝐻𝐿 and his lackey. In the end I was victorious and defeated all the bullies. Everyone was smiling at Izuku and saw him with a new respect. Even though he thought he was quirkless, he still stood up to protect others, not caring about himself, but for those that he's protecting. Izuku, however, that was when the teachers took me to the principal's office. The teacher that took me in, he had a sick and twisted enjoyment of watching me suffer. Every time In was being bullied, he would always watch me get hurt with a smile on his face, not doing anything. He started saying that I was the one who started the fight and wanted me expelled from the school. Everyone was now angry and they wanted to punch this teacher for torturing Izuku for what he did to him. 𝐻𝐮𝐬𝐴 also made a note to pay a visit to this school and teach this teacher a lesson of his own. Izuku, the principal, had no other choice but to suspend me from school. I had no evidence to prove I wasn't the one to start the fight, and the boy I was protecting, he was somehow threatened by the teacher at some point and he didn't back me up because of the teacher's threat. So me and my mom left the school with my mom driving angry. By this point everyone was seething. How cruel and heartless do you have to be to hurt a 6-year-old child that do anything wrong except wanting to be a hero? Izuku, so there we were driving home, my mom was furious with the school and wanted to give them a piece of her mind. She was driving angry and didn't notice that we were driving straight into a villain attack. When my mom was distracted, we were hit by the villain throwing a car at the heroes. We were sent flying down the road and turned upside down. I started crying, yelling for people to come and hello us, but the people standing to the side just stood there and kept saying, "Let the heroes handle it, and the heroes will get them out." So it turned towards the heroes and hoped to see them coming to help us, but they weren't. They were more focused on taking down the villain than helping us. So I used a glass shard to cut seatbelt and kicked open the door. I went to the other side and tried to get my mother out, but the door wouldn't budge. Everyone was leaning and listening to my story, and the girls all had tears in their eyes, feeling worried for young Izuku. Since I couldn't open the door, I went to the people standing on the side of the road and asked them for help, but they wouldn't give it. They kept saying, "Let the heroes do it." So I ran straight to the heroes and asked for their help, but all they said was, "Get out of here, kid, this is a job for real heroes." After I heard that, I got angry and I ran back to my mom, using all the strength I had, and I ripped the door off the car somehow, and then I ripped the seatbelt holding my mother off as well. I dragged my mother away from the wreckage, and that is when the car exploded. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief knowing that he saved his mother from the car, but they also felt angry towards the people and heroes who didn't help this light kid and his mom. Izuku. After that, the ambulance and police came and took us to the hospital. When I was there, they patched me up, but they told me that my mom was in a coma. I went to my mother's room and saw her strapped to a heart monitor and other machines. I started crying and begged for my mother to wake up, but she didn't. The doctor started comforting me and told me it was going to be okay, but instead of making me feel better, I just felt worse and angry. I started getting angry at the villain and heroes and people in the streets who wouldn't help us. I started getting angry at all the bullies and teacher and adults who hurt me over the years. I just kept getting more and more angry until I snapped and ran out of the hospital. Everyone was feeling more sympathy towards Izuku, and 𝐻𝐮𝐬𝐴 placed her hand on his back and started rubbing 𝐀𝐮𝐬𝐴 on his back. "Izuku, after you ran away, I didn't know where I was going. I ran far and I didn't even realize how fast I was running. I eventually made it to the industrial district and found an abandoned factory. My rage kept on building and building until I finally let go of my rage, and then that's when it happened." Ida, what happened, Midoriya? Izuku, I changed and turned into something else. Something terrifying. 𝐶𝐻𝐿, what did you turn into? Izuku, the Hulk. That is when everyone's eyes went wide and got a chill up their spines. They all know who the Hulk is, who doesn't? They have all seen the videos on the internet and seen the rampages he went on over 9 years ago and again a year and a half ago. Kirishima, wait, Midoriya, are you telling us that you are the Hulk? I didn't do anything but nod towards them, not trusting my voice. 𝐻𝐻𝐿 wrapped her arms around me and started rubbing my back for comfort. 𝐻𝐻𝐿, it's okay, Izuku, it's not your fault. Now that we know about what happened and what you went through, we can understand why you did it and we don't blame you. Mina, Midori, we don't blame you for what happened. Tokoyami, we can understand and see reason behind why you went on a rampage, and we can also see that you never intended on it. Kirishima, yeah, no matter what, you will be our bro, right everyone? Everyone, right Mineta, although Yunare's still scary. That is when Tsu used her tongue and slapped Mineta across the face. Aizawa, alright, that's enough story time. You all just wasted an entire class of work. Everyone was shocked back into reality when they heard Aizawa because they didn't know he was there in the first place. Aizawa, I don't usually do this, but I will let today's lesson slide, but don't make a habit of this, understand? Everyone, yes sir Aizawa, Alright, class is dismissed for the day. Everyone packed their stuff and started leaving the classroom. However, there is still one thing on their mind as they all leave. Everyone, thoughts, don't worry, 𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 Midoriya, we won't treat you like a monster and we will be here to help you out if you need it, because no one deserves to become a hero more than you do. Today was a day of enlightenment for everyone. They just learned of a fellow classmate's rough past and they have just begun. What does the future hold for our future heroes? Only time will tell. Izuku POV. My mom, Nemuri, and I were driving to school. As we were coming up to the school, we saw a large group of reporters at the front gate of UA. Midnight. Oh great, the vultures have finally caught the scent of a story. Inko, so I guess they found out that All Might was teaching at UA this year, huh? Midnight. Yeah, anything that man does is breaking news. The media will do anything to find out if the rumors are true. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to break into UA. Inko, they wouldn't be able to make it through the security gates. Just watch, she points at the gates. We see the reporters trying to interview Aizawa. However, he shoos them away from the school and walks through the gate. The reporter tries to follow him, but the security gates seal the entrance and keep the reporter from going in. Midnight. See, what did I tell you? We're fine. The gates are difficult to breach through, so we don't have to worry about the media. We drove off to the faculty parking lot, but little did we know how wrong Nemuri was. Across the street was a dark figure staring at UA with a maniacal grin on his face. Homeroom. We were all in homeroom waiting for Aizawa to show up. To pass the time, I put my earphones in and started listening to music. A/N. I love this song. R.I.P. 𝐴. As I was listening to the song, someone was walking over to me and taps me on the shoulder. Jiro, hey Midoriya, what are you listening to? I pull the earphones out and ask Izuku, sorry I couldn't hear, what did you say? Jiro, I said what were you listening to? Izuku, oh, I was listening to Zombie by Bad Wolves. It's my favorite song. Jiro, really, I've never heard of it. I hand her one of my earphones and play the song over again. She starts listening to the song and was really into it. Towards the end of the song, she started bopping her head and started singing, What's in Your Head? In Your Head. Zombie. Jiro, wow, that's a cool song. Do you know what it's about? Izuku, yeah, it's actually a tribute song. The Bad Wolves, they sang it and gave all the money they earned to the family of the woman who was supposed to be the one to sing this song, but unfortunately she died 2 days before she could perform it. Jiro, oh I see, that's really sad. Who was the one that was going to sing it? And how did she die? Izuku, it was originally going to be sung by 𝐴, an Irish singer. She died when she got drunk and drowned in her own bathtub. Jiro, wow, that's a hell of a way to go. As we were having our conversation, everyone else was talking about the reporters outside. Kirishima, man, I can't believe how many reporters are outside wanting to know about All Might. Mina, yeah, it was so exciting to get interviewed. Aoyama, they couldn't resist my sparkling bow. Ida, alright, everyone to your seat. Class is about to begin. Zero, dude, you're the only one who's still standing. Ida realized he was the only one standing and put his head down in shame and walked over to his desk. After we all sat down, Aizawa walked in. Aizawa, good, it seems you're all learning to keep your mouths shut. Time is of the essence and we don't have time for worthless shenanigans. Anyways, I looked at the videos of your battle training. Bakugo, he looks at Bakugo. Now I know all of you wondered why Bakugo was quiet this entire time. Well, the reason why he's quiet is because right now his jaw is wired shut from me punching the SHT out of it. It's a really funny sight to see him wearing braces and a cast around his neck from breaking his neck from the whiplash of my punch. Aizawa, I know you have a lot of potential, so don't waste it trying to act like an arrogant child. Grow up. Looks over to me and Midoriya. I know Bakugo pushed your buttons, but you need to learn how to control your anger. I understand that you have better control over your power, but I shudder at the thought of what might have happened if you didn't hold back on Bakugo. Everyone thought he was holding back. Aizawa, get better control of your emotions, understand? Izuku, yes sensei. Aizawa, alright, now I know it's a little late, but I have an important announcement. This will decide the future of this class. You will. Everyone. Thoughts, oh god, what's he going to make us do? Aizawa, pick a class president and vice president. Everyone. Thoughts, oh good, it's only class stuff. After that everyone breathed a sigh in relief, but soon after the entire class erupted in people volunteering to become class president. I kinda want to become president too, so I raised my hand too. Ida, everyone calm down, this is not how we should conduct ourselves. Ida, your hand is raised the highest. She's right, his hand is raised so far into the sky he could probably smack God in the face with it. Ida coughs into hand. Yes, well, I think we should hold this to a vote. Whoever receives the most votes will be our class representative, and the secondary person will be the vice class representative Kirishima. But wouldn't everyone just vote for themselves? How would that work? Ida, well, yes, if everyone is selfish and only thinks of themselves that will happen, but I believe that all of us as future heroes willing to put our lives on the line to save others are more than willing to do what's best for the class as a whole rather than for ourselves. Everyone agreed to this, and so we all cast our votes. The results: I got 17 votes, Momo got 2 votes, and 𝐻𝐿𝐴 got 1 vote. 𝐻𝐿𝐴, right, who fought for this nerd? Everyone, what? Gotta say it's very funny to see 𝐻𝐿𝐴 with his mouth shut for once. It's very therapeutic. 𝐻𝐿𝐴, I said, who fought for this nerd? Everyone, I had enough and just told them. Izuku, he said, who voted for this nerd? Kaminari, what did you actually expect we would vote for you? Kirishima, yeah, learn to lose like a man, Baku bro. Tokoyami, it hurts being left out in the cold, doesn't it? 𝐻𝐿𝐴 just sat back down in his chair and started sulking like a child. Aizawa, alright, your class president is Midoriya and you class vice president is Yaoyorozu. Lunch, we were all sitting at our tables in the cafeteria. Surprisingly, all the girls sat at my table except for Azui. The others who sat down at my table were Ida and, unsurprisingly, Kaminari and Mineta. They probably want to hang around me so they can get closer to the girls. Ida, Midoriya, let me be the first to congratulate you on getting the title of class president. Ochako, yeah. No, you will do a great job as president. Momo, I have to say, even though I didn't vote for you, I must admit it was a great pick for you to be president. Izuku, really? What makes you say that? What makes me so special in your eyes? Momo, well, first, you have an aura of a great leader. Every time we look at you we feel like we will be safe knowing you are there. Ochako, plus you're very smart and very nice to everyone you meet. Torb, plus you are very strong too. You took down 𝐻𝐿𝐴 like he was nothing and then beat the annoying BSRD down like how we all wanted to do on the first day. Jiro, also, it helps that you told us your secrets. Instead of trying to hide who you were, you trusted us enough to tell us all about yourself. So in turn you gained our trust as well. When all of them told me their reasons for voting for me, I was shocked and I felt very happy to see that everyone trusted me. This was a very happy moment for me in my life. Mina, plus I'm pretty sure at the last minute we all realized it was a lot of paperwork to do, so we just dumped it all on you, sucker. She sticks her tongue out and try to act cute, and just like that the moment was gone. I'm now realizing all the work I will have to do and the stress I will build up. Which is a very bad idea considering I am a ticking time bomb of rage and anguish just waiting to explode. So the extra stress is not going to work well for my anger management. Momo, don't worry Izuku, if you are feeling too stressed just let me do the rest of the work. I know you need to work on your anger problems, so let me take most of the load. Momo, what will I do without you and your hard-working attitude? Izuku, thanks Momo, you're an angel and I'll be relying on you to help with my stressful environment. Momo blushed a little. No problem. Ida, I'm glad to see you've accepted the leadership role. Midoriya, as one of the people who voted for you, I can't wait to see how you bring the class together. Izuku, yes, thank you Ida. Anyways Ida, I have a question for you. You wouldn't happen to be from a hero family, would you? More specifically the same family as 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. Ida, how did you know? Izuku, it wasn't all that hard to figure out seeing as everyone in your family's trademark is having an engine body part that helps with speed. It helps that your hero costume is a complete copy of 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐵's. Not exactly original if you ask me Ida. You are very astute Midoriya. My family has been proud heroes for generations and my brother Tensei is the current 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐴𝐵 that you speak of. Mina, wow, that is so cool, so you have been trained to take up the family mantle as 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐴𝐵 too. Ida, yes, when it's my time I will take the mantle as 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐴𝐵 as well and make my family proud. Izuku, well, I wish you luck on that. I get up to throw my trash away and head to the bathroom. After I was done with my business and washing my hands, I was walking back to the cafeteria when I look out the window and I see something dark black and purple open up in the building across from mine. I went over to the other building, but just as I entered the school, alarm went off. I went to the room where the dark figure went and saw him looking through the files. Let's see, here they are. I took a look at what he was holding and saw the class schedule. Why would he need the class schedule? It doesn't make sense. After he got the schedule, he opened up another portal and disappeared. I walked into the office and checked what he was looking for, and I found an empty file where I assumed the schedule was. The file was titled USJ. What does that mean? Time skip. We were all back in class after the little alarm. It turns out that the media somehow got into the school through the gates. After I got my classmates to calm down from worrying about where I was, I told Izuku everything. He immediately went straight to Principal Nizu to tell him everything. After a few minutes, Izuku came back and started class. Izuku, all right class, now that things have settled down, it's time to start your hero training. Azui, sir, what will we be working on? Izuku brings out a card with rescue on it. Rescue training. You will all be learning how to use your quirks in rescue scenarios. So all of you suit up in your hero costumes and meet up at the parking lot. We will taking a bus to a separate facility. Also keep in mind that some of your hero equipment, it might hinder you in your training, so be smart when you put on your costumes. School parking lot. We all headed out to the parking lot in our costumes. Well, not mine, since they were blown halfway to hell yesterday, so I had to settle for my gym uniform. Ida blows whistle. All right, everyone line up in a single file line in the order of your school ID number. Zero, dude, you're not the class president, remember? Ida looked crestfallen with that, so I put my hand on his shoulder to comfort him. Izuku, it's alright Ida, you meaned well, but I have to let you know that this bus is a city bus, so your plan of sitting us in order wouldn't have worked. Ida looked even more depressed knowing his plan wouldn't have worked, so I just got him and everyone else on the bus and sat down in the middle of the bus next to Azui, not seeing the looks of disappointment from some of the rest of the girls in the bus. Izuku, I hope you don't mind me sitting here. Azui. Tsu, not at all Midoriya, and please call me Tsu. Izuku, no problem Tsu, and call me Izuku. She nodded and looked forward. Kirishima, hey Midobro, I was wondering. Ever since yesterday I wanted to ask you this. What's it like transforming into the Hulk? That's when it got quiet and everyone looked at me. The only one who was confused, what Bakugo? Bakugo, what the hell are you talking about? Kaminari, oh yeah, I forgot he was in the nurse's office during the entire story. Zero, well, it turns out that Midoriya is actually the Hulk. Bakugo, the what? Jiro, are you serious? You don't know who the Hulk is? The entire world knows who the Hulk is. Where have you been? Living under a rock. Bakugo, shut your face, earlobes. Jiro, whatever, anyways, the Hulk was a creature that went on a rampage 9 years ago. And just yesterday we found out it was Izuku who is really the Hulk. Bakugo, this quirkless loser, pointing at Izuku. Everyone. Yes, Bakugo, what makes him so special? Just because he went on a rampage and did a little damage. I can probably do more damage than him. Everyone looked at Bakugo with some level of contempt. He doesn't even know that he is one of the reasons that Izuku did that in the first place. Kirishima takes out his phone and plays video. Here Bakubro, watch this and you will see. Bakugo watched the video and saw the Hulk going on a rampage, hurting all the police and pro heroes and going toe-to-toe with All Might. Bakugo felt enraged and did not believe that Deku would be such a powerhouse. Bakugo, this video is bullshit. It has to have been edited. There is no way this weak, useless Deku would be able to square up with the #1 hero. There is no way. Kaminari, well, believe it, Midoriya is the same creature you saw in that video. He's also far from being weak and useless. He's the reason why you have to drink everything from a straw. So what does that make you? Bakugo, shut up, spark plug. I was just caught off guard. I'll kick his butt next time, you'll see. Kirishima, anyways, Midobros, like I said, what's it like as the Hulk? Izuku, well, Kirishima, I have to say it's like cross between being born for the first time and a pleasant dream. Tsu, what do you mean Izuku? Izuku, it's almost like coming out for air after struggling to breathe for a long time. You feel like all your stress and problems are lifted off your shoulders. You just finally let go and let yourself be free and without any restraints. It feels like you can do anything and you feel nothing but the pleasure of freedom. When I would let myself go, I would feel like I'm falling into a peaceful slumber and I can hear nothing outside, just the steady and pleasant heartbeat just go. Everyone was listening to the description of the feeling as the Hulk and were transfixed with what Izuku was saying. What he described was basically the feeling of the ultimate stress reliever, and they could only imagine what it would feel like not having to worry about anything. Aizawa, we're here. We were all brought out of our trance and got off the bus, and we saw a huge facility. We walked to the entrance and saw the rescue hero Ochako started freaking out, saying that 13 was her favorite hero. Got to say, she looks cute when she is fangirling. Hello students, my name is 13 and I will be one of you instructors for today. Aizawa, hey 13, where is All Might? About that. Brought Aizawa over and I took a look over to them and noticed he or she, whatever the hell 13 is, was holding up 3 fingers for some reason. After they were done, 13 told us that this place was called the Unforeseen Simulation Joint, or USJ for short. That is when I froze for a second. Izuku, thoughts USJ, just like on the file that guy stole. Explained to us that our quirks could do more harm than good if we weren't careful with them. Something I know a lot about thanks to all my little episodes while being experimented on. After 13 was done, she led us inside. How it really looks like Universal Studios Japan. As we were walking in, 13 was about to start us with our lesson, but as we were about to start, the lights started flickering and I got a little tingle up my spine. That's usually a sign that something bad is about to happen. I looked at the center of the building and I saw the same black portal from earlier today. Many people were coming out of the portal. Some of them looked like they really wanted to kill us. I felt their killing intent from here. Kirishima, whoa, I can't believe it. They even have fake villains. Aizawa, get back, those are real villain. 13, protect the children. We all got put on the defensive. Aizawa was dead serious this time around. He got ready for battle. Why aren't the alarms going off? Izuku, they must have someone jamming the signal to the entire facility. Aizawa, Kaminari, see if you can contact the school with your equipment. Kaminari, alright with the villain's hand guy. So we only have 2 teachers and a couple of brats. Where is All Might? He should have been here. Kurogyri, I apologize Shigaraki, the schedule said that he would be here today. Shigaraki, sigh, no matter, we can still hurt his pride. How about we kill a couple kids while we're here? With the students. Kaminari, sorry sensei, but I can't vet through to the school, something is blocking the signal. Izuku, then that means we'll have to get outside. They can't follow us, they risk having the alarms go off if they head outside. Aizawa, alright. Midoriya, you and 13 lead everyone outside and make sure everyone is safe and get in contact with the school and call for reinforcements. Izuku, right, let's go everyone. Tako, wait. What about you sensei? You can't possibly take them all on by yourself. Aizawa, don't worry, in this line of work you can't be a one-trick pony. With that sigh, he ran down the stairs and engaged the enemy head-on. We started running to the entrance, but we were cut off by the smoke villain. Kurogyri, hello heroes, my name is Kurogyri and we are the League of Villains, what do you want? Kurogyri, oh nothing, we are just here to kill the symbol of peace, All Might. Everyone was shocked, including myself. They want to kill All Might. I know these guys probably have a way to kill him. If they were overconfident idiots, then they would have challenged him on the streets where there was plenty of witnesses, but they are not idiots. This entire event is too organized to just be a bunch of ragtag idiots who are getting big heads. They must have a secret trump card, and I'm betting it has something to do with that bird brain gim. We won't let you succeed. Kurogyri, I was not asking for your permission. We will suck whether you like it or not. Just as 13 was about to use her quirk on him, Kirishima and Bakugo jumped in like the reckless idiots they are. Izuku, no, stop you idiots. There was an explosion and dust floated everywhere around Kurogyri. We couldn't see him anywhere. Bakugo, like how we're going to let you succeed, you smoky bastard. Kurogyri, my what delectable golden eggs you all are. Guess it's time for me to do my job. You two get out of the way. Kurogyri, be gone. We were all wrapped in a black darkness. I saw some of the other students get out, but I wasn't so lucky. When I saw light I felt like I was falling and I saw that I was above the shipwreck zone. I fell into the water and just as I was about to swim out, I saw a villain that looked like a shark start swimming towards me. I was about to punch the idiot when he was kicked on the side by 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐽. She wrapped her tongue around me and pulled me to the ship. She placed me on the ship and she climbed up the side holding 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿, wow, your BRSTS make perfect floaties for me. 𝐬𝐮 threw him onto the ship hard without remorse after that. Izuku, thanks a lot 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐽, no problem Izuku. We looked out to the side and saw some of the villains were in the water. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿, oh man, we're surrounded. I'm too young to die, I'm still a virgin, I don't want to die yet. Izuku, calm down 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿. We're not going to die. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿, what makes you say that? Izuku, because we are still here. Haven't you noticed that they haven't tried climbing aboard the ship and kill us? 𝐬𝐮, yeah, they would have done that by now if they were planning to kill us, but that means that they are not overestimating us. Izuku, that may be, but that also means we can use this to our advantage. 𝐬𝐮/𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿, huh. Izuku, well 𝐬𝐮, the fact that you are here shows that they don't know what our quirks are. If they knew what your quirk was then they would have sent you over there to the scorch zone. 𝐬𝐮, yeah, I would have probably wouldn't have been much use in a place with not enough moisture. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿, that's great and all, but what makes you think we'll be able to get out of this? We're still surrounded and outnumbered, and in case you forgot, your quirk idea also works the other way around. We don't know what the villain quirks are either, all we know is that they're water-based. Izuku, don't worry, I already have a plan. I explained the plan to the two of them and we put it into action. Izuku, hey you villains, you think you can scare us? Well, I'm not afraid and I will kick your butt. I jumped off the ship and towards the villains. They were momentarily shocked, which was more than enough time for me to attack. I threw a hard punch towards the water and created a whirlpool. The whirlpool 𝐂𝐮 all the villains, and that was when 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿 threw his sticky balls into the water and made all the villains stick together. 𝐬𝐮 jumped off the ship taking 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿 with her and wrapped her tongue around me. We fell close to the edge of the shipwreck zone and we saw the devastation that 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽 left. We saw the hand guy jump in and try to attack 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽 threw an elbow at the man midsection, but the man caught. When 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽 took his arm back, we saw that his elbow had no skin on it. It must have been his quirk that dissolved the skin. Shigaraki, oh Eraser, if there is one thing I hate more than heroes is heroes who actually live up to the hype, but I won't have to do anything more seeing as you have another problem you can't solve. We looked behind 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽 and we saw the bird guy move really fast, so fast that my eyes barely caught it. The bird guy hit 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽 on the head and his goggles flew off his face. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽 picked himself back up and he teed attacking the bird guy with just one arm. The bird guy was unaffected by the punch and grabbed 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽's arm and twisted it and threw him on the ground face first. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽 tries to use his quirk to neutralize the bird guy's strength, but then he snaps 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽's arm in half. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿, holy CRP, that bird guy is kicking the CRP out of Sensei. 𝐬𝐮, what do we do Izuku? I was about to answer, but then we saw the 𝐬𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿 guy make his appearance. 𝐬𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿, Shigaraki, I apologize, but I have failed my mission. One of the students got out and is getting reinforcements from the school. So the guys up front were able to succeed in their plans. That's good, but that doesn't mean we're out of the woods yet. The guy with the hands starts scratching his neck in a very weird way. The skin on his neck looks like it's been peeling off for some time. Shigaraki, 𝐬𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿, if you weren't our only means of escape then I would have killed you by now, sigh, but I guess it's no use. It's game over, back to the title screen. Let's go home. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿, did you hear that? They are leaving, we're saved. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿 hugged 𝐬𝐮, but he only did that so he could squeeze her BRSS. As a result, she started drowning him. 𝐬𝐮, looks like we're safe now Izuku. No we're not, this is the perfect opportunity for them to attack All Might, they won't have another chance like this. They can't risk leaving if the school will just buff up security. Something else is happening. Shigaraki, however, before we go, looks directly at us. Let's break the symbol of peace's spirit. He instantly appears in front of us in a flash. He's pretty fast for a little guy. However, I'm faster. Just as he was about to touch 𝐬𝐮, I grabbed his wrist. Izuku, keep your disgusting hands away from my friends. I reeled my left fist back and let my muscles bulge, and then I punched hard. I made contact, but not with Shigaraki. I looked to see the bird guy in front of my fist not looking affected by the punch, which kind of shocked me a little, but I was still holding back a lot, so not much. I let go of Shigaraki before he could touch my arm, and Tsu grabbed my neta and jumped closer to the entrance. I was about to follow until Shigaraki, Nomu, kill him. The Nomu grabbed my arm and threw me across the plaza. I landed near the fountain where all the knocked out villains were. I stood back up and saw the Nomu and Shigaraki staring at me. Shigaraki, you are very durable for a kid. I'm sure Nomu will have fun killing you. I saw the Nomu start running towards me fast. No time to dodge, so I put my arms up and blocked his punch. The punch sent me flying into a wall. I got out of the wall only to be met with another punch. He grabbed my head and started dragging me face first through the wall. I was getting really set off, so using my strength I pushed him off me and charged at him. I threw a punch at his stomach, then another at his face, then a kick to his side. I kept on repeating this until sent one final punch to his midsection and saw him hunch over. That's when I heard that Shigaraki guy start laughing. Izuku, what's so funny? Shigaraki, oh nothing, I just forgot to mention his quirk. Did you figure out what it is? I looked at him with narrowed eyes. Shigaraki, it's shock absorption. That's when my eyes went wide and tried to get away, but it was too late. The Nomu grabbed onto me and started slamming me into the ground multiple times. He slammed me into the ground one final time and left me with a couple of bruises and broken bones, but my healing factor is starting to kick in, so I'm fine. Shigaraki, as fun as it is to watch you get beaten to a pulp, I'm kind of on a schedule, so Nomu, kill him already. The Nomu started walking towards me and I got ready for it to start beating me into bloody paste, but just as it was going to throw its punch, half of its body was frozen. I looked to the side and I saw the ice lead to Todoroki, then I heard an explosion to the other side. So I looked and I saw Bakugo holding Kurogiri by his neck brace and Kirishima close to punching Shigaraki. Kirishima, Dimon, that would have been a cool move. Bakugo, don't even think about moving, you smoky bastard, or else I'll blow you straight to Kingdom Come. I got out of the crater I was in and asked them. Izuku, what took you idiots so long? Bakugo, shut up Deku. While you were getting your butt kicked by that bird guy, we were beating the other cannon fodder. Izuku, you know it's kind of hard to take you seriously with those braces in your mouth. Bakugo, growls. I looked over at Shigaraki and walk over towards him. Izuku, give up, you have nowhere else to go. Shigaraki, you really think so, don't you? Nomu. We turned around and saw the Nomu breaking free from the ice. One of its arms and legs were broken off and started growing back. Izuku, what the hell? You said he only had shock absorption. Shigaraki, I never said that was his only quirk. Nomu is a genetically modified killing machine designed to kill All Might. The rest of you brats have no way of beating him. Now Nomu, get Kurogiri. The Nomu was quick and charged towards Bakugo. I reacted fast and ran towards them and shoved Bakugo out of the way before he was hit. I was sent straight towards another wall. Shigaraki, now that was heroic, you sacrificed yourself to save your comrade. Bakugo, Diamante Deku. I didn't need your help. Izuku, shut the F up Katsuki. Now's not the time for your bullshit. Kurogiri, thank you Shigaraki, I was careless there. Shigaraki, it's alright, we still have a chance to break All Might's spirit and leave before the teachers get here. Nomu, kill them all. The Nomu starts walking towards us. Kirishima, heads up guys, he's coming towards us. The Nomu charged at me first. It started hammering me further into the wall until I was sent into the mountain zone. After it was done with me, it went after Todoroki, but he put a wall up before it made it to him. Using the distraction, Todoroki moved out of the way to be met with one of Bakugo's explosions. The Nomu was unaffected by it, then it sent a punch towards Bakugo, which Kirishima hardened his body to shield Bakugo. They were both sent to the other side of the plaza. I used this opportunity to get behind the Nomu and wrapped my arms around its midsection and did a German suplex, but when I tried to move I felt a pain in my side where my stomach is. I looked down and saw the Nomu's hand coming out of a warp gate and its claws were in my side. Shigaraki, who now, that was a close one. You tried to bury Noma headfirst into the ground to keep him from moving, but did you forget about us? 𝗏𝐽 pull him into the portal and 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 tear him in half. The 𝗏𝐽 tried dragging me into the gate, but once again Todoroki froze the 𝗏𝐽 and gave me enough moving room to get out of its grip. Thankfully my healing factor is keeping me from bleeding out. The 𝗏𝐽 got out of the portal and broke off the ice and regrew its limbs. Izuku, 𝐴𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, this is getting us nowhere. The teachers are taking too long and by the time they get here we'll probably be dead. Todoroki, I know, but all we have to do is hold it off Gore a bit longer. Kirishima and Bakugo made it back to us looking all beaten up. I guess that punch really took a lot out of them. Kirishima, we need to find a way to take these guys down. Bakugo, 𝐴𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, as much as I hate to admit it, we can't beat these guys like this. They are too well trained and work well as a team. If it's not one it's the other Tang to take us down. Izuku, from what I can tell that 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 guy can make multiple warp gates at different distances. His only weakness is his neck brace, but since you guy exposed it he'll be on guard with it. Then there that Shigaraki guy. He may not look it, but he's a MSTR martial artist and he's fast. His quirk allows him to disintegrate anything he touches, but he needs to place all 5 of his fingers on the object to start disintegrating something. Todoroki, then there is this 𝗏𝐽 creature. It has hyper-regeneration and can heal its severed limbs in seconds. Izuku, not to mention it has shock absorption and it's Fing strong. No matter how many times I punched it kept shrugging them off like it was nothing. Kirishima, we really got our work cut for us. I took a better look at the creature and saw a look in its eyes as if it was dead. The eyes didn't move at all unless there was something moving right in front of it. Then I remember its movements. It didn't move unless it was ordered to my Shigaraki or if he was in trouble. Izuku, hey guys, do you think this 𝗏𝐽 is alive? Bakugo, the F do you mean? Of course it's alive Izuku. No, I mean this creature doesn't look like it's in control of itself. I mean this creature just stands there until Shigaraki orders it to do something or if Shigaraki is in trouble. I don't think this creature has a conscience of its own. Like it's already dead. Kirishima, yet just look at its eyes. They look like a dead fish's eyes. They only move when something in front of it moves. Izuku, that's what I mean. I don't think this thing is alive at all. It's just a mindless drone. Bakugo, what the F does this have to do with anything? Todoroki, it means there is no reason to hold back. The only reason I haven't tried to completely freeze its entire body is because I don't want to kill anyone, so if it's already dead. Izuku, it means there is no need for us to hold back. We can go all out on it. Todoroki and Kirishima looked at Izuku and saw a burning fire in his eyes and they know what he meant. Kirishima, Midobro, are you sure about this? What if you go out of control? Izuku, I won't go out of control. I have better control of it. As long as nothing makes me too angry I'll be fine. Bakugo looked at them and finally realized what they meant. Bakugo, 𝐴𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, just don't lose Deku because I'm the only one that's allowed to kick your butt. Izuku, wouldn't dream of it. I start walking towards the 𝗏𝐽 and letting my anger boil up. Shigaraki, so have you finally accepted your own death? Izuku, I just want to ask you something first. What is your reason for becoming a villain? Why do all this and risk the lives of innocent people? Shigaraki, you want to know my reasons for doing this? Well, I guess I can tell you. The reason is because of you heroes. You think just because you are heroes you can do whatever you want and cause as much damage as you want just because you are heroes. You heroes are nothing more than government-sponsored wrecking machines that believe just because you have a license you could do whatever you want. You heroes are the cause of many of the crimes we villains commit. And so I want to show the world just because you are heroes, that doesn't mean you can get away with the consequences. Izuku. Bullshit. Shigaraki. Izuku, you actually think for a second I would believe that self-righteous bullshit? Well, I don't. I know you are not the type to care about these so-called causes. You're only doing this because you see it as nothing more than a game. I heard all your final boss and next level bullshit. You see all of this as nothing more than a game for you to play. You're not fighting for any righteous cause. You're nothing more than a man-child who enjoys killing and getting what he wants. And all that other bullshit about heroes being the cause of you villains doing crimes, bullshit. Heroes don't force villains to commit crimes. You all only do it because you are the ones who truly believe you can get away with whatever you want without any consequences. And what do you villains do? You takes the coward's way out. Instead of facing your consequences, you all run away like pussies and blame everything on heroes. You are no victim, so stop pretending to be one. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 thoughts he figured it out. Shigaraki. Ha ha ba. I can't believe I was figure out so easily. I've got to give you props, kid. You sure know how to read people. However, our time is almost up. 𝐻𝐼 kill him. The 𝐻𝐼 starts walking forward and I have my head down getting angry. This guy only sees life as a game and doesn't care for the lives of others. I hate these people who believe that being selfish is the only way to live. What's wrong with helping other? All those assholes who say the main protagonist in the story should be completely selfish and not be a cliché hero can all go to hell. I'm going to help people and save everyone I meet, but I can understand that being a little selfish is what makes us human, and that is what makes us great heroes. Because we 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 how it feels to be human and suffer and take from everyone. That is why I will become a great hero. I start changing, all my muscles start bulging a lot more than usual. My skin starts turning green and I can hear all my muscles and bones realigning. Everyone watching sees me changing and couldn't help but get chills up their spines seeing me change. Even the 𝐻𝐼 stops advancing and watches. Shigaraki, what the hell is going on with him? 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. Why is he changing? 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, I don't know. I stopped changing and I loom at the 𝐻𝐼 eye to eye with my glowing green eyes. I stare at the creature for the longest time and then I roar. Roar. All the fighting around the USJ stops when they hear the roar. Suddenly all the villains get chills down their spines and all the students understand what that roar means. Izuku has finally let the beast unleashed.